Chapter 16:14. Just like everyone else, Yishuan's only way was to kill a celestial realm expert. This idea wasn't out of line, but no one dared to do it, because to normal people, it was simply suicide. If a heaven realm master was so easy to kill, then the top geniuses of the entire human race wouldn't have given up on them. Even under a celestial realm expert, they could only flee in a haggard manner. Are you kidding? Yi Qiong asked seriously this time. A heaven realm master wasn't so easy to deal with. Of course, I'm a man of my word. If I don't kill a heaven realm demon, how will I have the chance to surpass those people like the four giants? Yishuan looked at them and asked, Since that's the case, then we'll go crazy with you. Yi Qiong said. No one had any objections. This wasn't blind trust in Yishuan, but they felt that Yishuan definitely wouldn't joke about such a thing. In the next half a month, Yishuan set up a formation in a valley and didn't go find trouble with the demon. Everyone had been looking forward to Yishuan's score for more than half a month, but they hadn't seen the slightest change in Yishuan's score. Suddenly, everyone's interest slowly disappeared. Slowly, Yishuan's previous words also became a laughingstock. At the same time, the score of the top 10 was still rising at a shocking speed. Rather than saying it was the top 10, it was more accurate to say that the original four giants, plus Fa Wushuang who suddenly rose up. The five of them were rising at a rapid speed, and the score fluctuated from time to time. The competition was very intense. Gradually, everyone's gazes gradually shifted from Yishuan to these five people. According to this speed, it would be very difficult to determine the winner and loser until the end of the competition. So, they could only be divided according to the score. In the demon realm, a golden figure rapidly streaked across the sky like a golden bolt of lightning, rampaging through the demon realm. Instantly, it attracted the attention of many demons. This surging vitality was too obvious in the demon world, and not far behind him, a figure constantly flashed into space, shuttling freely into space. In front of him, space was no obstacle at all. Damn humans, stop right there! A loud roar reverberated through the void. Countless nomological laws appeared around him. Wherever he pointed with his hand, the space was completely solidified. Once one was locked inside, it would be like entering a cage, and it would be impossible to escape. The terrifying strength of the celestial realm was totally displayed. And behind him in the distance, hundreds of figures were also in hot pursuit, closely chasing after Yishuan. All of them were Celestial Realm level demon experts, and the weakest were Celestial Realm 7th Heavens experts. Among them, there were also a large number of Celestial Realm 8th Heavens experts, and there were even several Celestial Realm 9th Heavens top experts. In their opinion, Yishuan was simply courting his own death. From the surging qi and blood on Yishuan's body, they immediately judged that this should be a big fish, even though Yishuan's realm was only at the 6th level of celestial being realm. To them, it wasn't so simple to judge. These people were the elites among the elites of the human race, and their value was far from what experts of the same level could compare to. Or rather, it was not the same thing at all. A genius at the 6th level of heaven realm was even more valuable than an ordinary celestial realm 9th heavens expert. Even the celestial realm old ancestor of the original demon clan that was stationed here personally took action. This time, he was one of the few old ancestors in charge of encircling the human race's geniuses. If it was under normal circumstances, he wouldn't even look at people of this level. It was only because these people were all young geniuses of the human race that he personally took action. But what they didn't expect was that after chasing for a full day and night, they still couldn't catch up to this puny human at the 6th level of heaven realm. Even a celestial realm expert personally took action, but still couldn't stop Yishuan. This made them even more aware that this time, they might have caught a big fish, so more experts joined in the chase. They didn't believe that Yishuan could continue flying at full speed like this. In a situation where there was no spiritual qi to replenish his consumption, his qi would be exhausted, and he would have to rely on medicinal pellets to replenish it, which was not easy at all. Whoosh! 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 Yishuan's silhouette was constantly flashing in the void. His golden silhouette was pulling out a series of afterimages in the void. It was hundreds of meters long. Not far behind him, the space was constantly solidifying. It seemed as if a powerful force was solidifying it. If Yi Shiwen was even a little bit slower, he might be solidified by this huge force. Therefore, he didn't dare to stop even for a moment. Celestial Realm experts' understanding of space was already enough to allow them to completely defeat most movement techniques, so they directly traveled through the space to come here, using the spatial chain to seal the enemy. Behind Yi Shiwen, the demon's wings constantly flapped, and he didn't dare to stop at all. Once he stopped, he might be intercepted by this Celestial Realm expert from the original demon race. At that time, it would undoubtedly be a disaster for Yi Shiwen. This expert from the original demon race chased Yi Shiwen relentlessly for a full day and night. However, the more he chased, the more depressed he became. This young human expert in front of him actually didn't seem to be unable to hold on at all, and had been maintaining his full speed, which instantly made him feel suspicious. In the beginning, he didn't pay too much attention. Although this person's movement technique was extremely fast, so fast that even a Celestial Realm expert like him couldn't catch him several times, this kind of movement technique wasn't strange. For the human race to be able to dominate the ancient Barrens continent for so many years, their foundations were naturally very deep. Moreover, these people were the most outstanding elites of the human race, so it was normal for them to have some amazing movement techniques. However, it was impossible to maintain such a flying speed with all his strength. No movement technique, in theory, and flying at full speed weren't the same thing. To an expert like him who had already stepped into the Celestial Realm, any movement technique was a joke. Even if one could travel faster than him, how long could they maintain it for? Who knew that after a full day and night of chasing, this human race expert in front of him actually showed no signs of stopping and was still frantically fleeing? This made him a little frustrated. If this continued, how long would he have to chase before he could catch up? However, he was even more certain that this young human race expert in front of him was burning his lifespan to escape. If not, how could he maintain his peak speed? This didn't make sense. It didn't make sense at all. As for the other possibility that this person didn't use his full strength, that was even more impossible. The moment such a thought appeared, he immediately eliminated it. If that was really the case, then all of them End Realm Celestials should just bang their heads against the wall and die. Human, as long as you surrender obediently and pledge your allegiance to our devil race, I can spare your life. This original demon race old ancestor said with a hoarse voice. His hands shone with endless light as he grabbed towards Yi Shiwen. Oh, what a joke. Do you think I'm an idiot? If I stop, won't I be killed by you immediately? A slightly anxious voice came from the golden figure in front of him. The voice was slightly anxious, which made the original demon race old ancestor believe that the human in front of him couldn't hold on any longer. Now he slowly calmed down. Wasn't it just a competition of patience? To be able to cultivate to their level, what they lacked the least was patience. What a joke. I, Arguello, have been famous in the demon world for so many years. When have I ever gone back on my words? As long as you're willing to join our demon race, we'll give you more than the human race. When that time comes, you can even step into the celestial realm, Arguello said calmly. His tone was filled with exceptional confidence. Moreover, where can you escape to in this demon world? No human can escape from this demon world. With a stick in one hand and a carrot in the other, Arguello had long since perfected this. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the time it took for them to speak, they had already flown over thousands of mountains and rivers. Fortunately, the demon world was incomparably vast and boundless. It was even vaster than the ancient Barrens continent. If it was just a small world, they would be able to fly from one end of the world to the other in a day and night. Suddenly, the golden light in front of him dissipated. The figure completely stopped and turned around. Aguero saw that it was a delicate and handsome young man from the human race. He sneered and revealed a somewhat mocking smile. He also stopped, but he wasn't in a hurry to attack. In his opinion, victory was already in his hands. How about it? Have you thought it through? Anyway, there are more than 1 or 2 humans who have joined our demon race. As long as you cover it up well, you can still return to the human race. No one will know that you've joined our demon race. On the contrary, we will use our resources to help you rise to the top. You'll be able to do whatever you want in the human race and grasp great power. This is much better than death. Arguello smiled and looked coldly at Yi Shiwen. It was as if he could see Yi Shiwen crawling over obediently like a dog to beg for mercy. The human race was just so despicable. It wouldn't be satisfying if they didn't beat him up. At this time, the large number of celestial realm demons behind him had also arrived. Do you think I stopped to beg for mercy? Yi Shiwen said softly. Chapter 16:15. Do you think I stopped to beg for mercy? Yi Shiwen said softly. Isn't that the case? Arguello looked at Yi Shiwen coldly, with a mocking and disdainful smile on his face. He didn't think highly of the humans at all. Perhaps in the hearts of the demons, the human race was just another race in an unconquered land. They were nothing at all. They were just like a bunch of pigs, just different kinds of pigs. I had no choice. Heaven Realm experts are all too cunning. I put in a lot of effort to lure you out. Yi Shiwen said calmly, as if he was explaining something. Lure me out? Did you set up an ambush? Arguello was startled, but then he sneered. Where was this? This was the Devil Realm. How could the human clan's experts appear here unless they had broken through the Devil Realm's defense line? Even this group of experts could only be sent to different places to avoid attracting the Devil Realm's attention. Even if there was an ambush, so what? He was a Heaven Realm expert, and he wouldn't care about anyone below the Heaven Realm. This was the confidence of a Heaven Realm expert. Yi Shiwen glanced at the experts behind him and laughed. Just nice, with so many people. I can deal with them all at once. Arrogant. This human is crazy. I think he's scared to the point of pissing himself. The demons behind him roared and looked at Yi Shiwen angrily. In their opinion, was this human brat so scared that he had gone crazy? I want to see what other tricks you have. Arguello stood with his hands behind his back and sneered. His cold eyes constantly scanned the surroundings. He quickly realized that something was wrong. There seemed to be something hidden in the space. It seemed like this brat had really prepared something. I didn't expect you to really have something prepared. I really don't know what to say about you. You're too daring. This is the first time I've been surrounded. Arguello said. Yi Shiwen, you can start now. Why are you still talking nonsense with him? We don't have much time left. At this moment, a slightly lazy voice was heard. Yi Qiong's figure appeared in the void. That's right, killing a Heaven Realm demon with a sword. I'm excited just thinking about it. Huh? Yi Shukong appeared not far behind Yi Shiwen. Then, Yi Qianqian and Green Conch also appeared. Ha ha ha, this is too funny. Arguello laughed out loud. Do you think these small fries can deal with me? Do you think Heaven Realm experts are cabbages on the side of the road? Do you think anyone can deal with them? I think you've lost your heads. Do you think that you've become so arrogant after being praised by those human warriors? Well, it's just as well. All of you, die and become my puppets. With you human geniuses, I can seize the opportunity to develop my spies into the upper echelons of the human race. With this batch of human geniuses, I can take the opportunity to develop my spies into the upper echelons of the human race. Arguello instantly attacked. He grabbed with his hand, and the entire void seemed to be frozen. Countless nomological powers appeared, and a terrifying power blasted towards Yi Shiwen and the others. Just as this power was about to reach Yi Shiwen, it was turned into nothingness by an invisible force. Before Arguello could figure out what was going on, Yi Shiwen finally moved. Suddenly, Yi Shiwen finally moved. He shouted, "Whether I am pretending or not, you will know once you try. Do you want me to become your puppet? I want you to obediently become points." Ha! A celestial realm expert has millions of points. Yi Qiong laughed out loud. Rumble! A loud rumbling sound came from all directions, and the space began to tremble slightly, as if something was rising from the ground. What is that? At this time, someone suddenly realized that water with the aura of the netherworld was seeping out from the void. More and more of it appeared, and gradually, it surrounded them. This is the 9 Nether Hell Emperor water. As expected from a celestial realm old ancestor, Aguero was really knowledgeable and actually recognized the 9 Nether Hell Emperor water. However, doesn't the 9 Nether Hell Emperor water only exist in other worlds and have gone extinct since ancient times? Hades' royal formation, activate. A rumbling power rippled through the area. Countless water dragons instantly formed in the water and whizzed towards the demons floating in the void. Bang! Aguero smashed a water dragon with a punch and cursed, "Damn it, what the hell is this? Do you think you can do anything to me with this?" A tyrannical power instantly swept out from his body. With a bang, an absolute domain was formed around him. Before the water dragons could get close to him, they were instantly crushed into pieces by him. What the hell is this? Trying to ambush a Heaven Realm expert with just this level of ambush? I think there's something wrong with your head. I'll make up for this mistake with your life. Aguero laughed coldly and grabbed at the void with both hands. He wanted to tear the space apart and instantly appeared in front of Yishuin. Suddenly, he realized that he couldn't tear the void. He was dumbfounded. How is this possible? With my strength, what space can I tear? This is impossible. Aguero couldn't believe it. What's so strange about that? I'm the one and only overlord within the 9th Hell Emperor formation, and it's absolutely impossible for you to go against me. Suddenly, a chilly voice of a woman resounded. Then, a yellow figure pierced through the void and appeared opposite him. Her body emitted a powerful demonic aura as she stared coldly at Aguero. Who are you? Aguero looked at Yu Lien coldly. He instinctively felt that Yu Lien wasn't simple. You don't need to know who I am. Dead people don't need to know, Yu Lien said coldly. Then, she turned to Yi Shiwen and said, Young master, leave this to me. This guy can't escape. Since he's in my Hades royal formation, he's just a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Yishuin nodded. With Yu Lien here, he naturally didn't need to worry. He looked at Aguero and said, Be good and wait for your death. I've been busy for half a month just to kill you. You're courting death. Aguero was instantly furious. With a whoosh, his figure dashed out and pounced towards Yishuin. Although he couldn't tear the space apart, his movement technique was still extremely fast. Like a black lightning, he swept over in an instant and clawed at Yi Shiwen's head. He could tell that Yi Shiwen was the leader of these people. To solve this predicament, he had to kill Yi Shiwen. Huh! He heard a delicate shout. Then, a white hand directly clawed down and collided with his demonic claw. Boom! A terrible roar accompanied by the sound of gold and iron clashing instantly rang out. Aguero immediately felt a terrifying power on his body. His bones felt like they were about to be crushed. He looked at the woman in yellow in the sky in disbelief. Who the hell are you? At this time, he was no longer in the mood to care about Yi Shiwen. His whole body was focused on the woman in front of him. The scales all over his body had an impulse to stand up. This was a reaction he would only have when he encountered extreme danger. However, ever since he stepped into the celestial being realm and ranked among the top powerhouses in the devil realm, he had not had such a feeling for many years. Moreover, he wasn't an ordinary celestial being realm expert. He had already stepped into the middle celestial being realm. Even in the demon world, this kind of strength was definitely at the level of an old ancestor. Normal people couldn't be his opponent. That was why he was so confident. Even when he found out that he was surrounded, he didn't think that something might happen. Given the meager strength of the human race in the devil realm, what could possibly happen to him? However, this was the first time he felt regret. This terrifying feeling made him want to retreat and escape. He hadn't felt this way for many years. He believed that his sixth sense wouldn't be wrong. However, he forcefully suppressed the thought of escaping because he could sense that the consequences would be even more terrifying if he were to escape than if he were to stay. You're also a demon, right? Why are you helping those humans? Aguero asked. Why are you asking such a stupid question? Has your IQ deteriorated? Yu Lien smiled like a silver bell. Then, she said with a sharp gaze, in order to wake him up earlier, I don't care even if I have to kill all the demons in the world. Yu Lien raised her hand. Countless amounts of Hades' royal water condensed into a long sword in her hand. With a whoosh, the sword light pierced through the sky and instantly swept towards the heaven realm expert. "Damn it!" Aguero hurriedly cursed. With a wave of his hands, a long demonic spear appeared in his hands. He thrust it out, and the spear light tore through the sky. It was like a demonic dragon charging towards the sword light. Boom! Terrifying power boiled within it. Countless laws were suddenly revealed. Under the collision of the two terrifying powers, even the laws were broken. Whoosh! After the sword light sliced the spear light in half, its momentum didn't decrease as it headed straight for Aguero. Dang! The sword light directly struck the shaft of Aguero's demonic spear. Ding, ding, ding! Aguero retreated, his expression changing drastically. He looked at the pretty girl in front of him. If it wasn't for the demonic energy coming from her body, he wouldn't have imagined that she was actually a demon. Chapter 16:16. Although he was prepared, he was still completely suppressed by Yu Lian's strength after the real fight. But at this time, there was no other way, because he was very clear that it was a little too late to escape now that he was trapped in the formation. And at this time, Yi Shiwen didn't care anymore. He completely killed his way into the demon race and found a top expert of the 9th level of the celestial realm. "Eat my sword!" Yi Shiwen held the angel's sword in his hand and rushed up. The angel's sword in his hand bloomed with endless light. The long sword in his hand in the void turned the rotten into the magical, and it slashed down, creating endless waves. The world changed into mulberry fields, and the sword seemed to slash out the long river of history. But this 9th level of the celestial realm expert of the demon race was not ordinary. In fact, his strength was even more tyrannical than any opponent that Yi Shiwen had defeated before. Peak of the 9th level of the celestial realm, only half a step away from the celestial realm. In the box, just a little bit more. His reaction was not slow at all. Instantly, a demonic saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed out horizontally, facing Yi Shiwen's angel's sword. Dang! A loud bang sounded, and the terrifying force shook more and more Hades' royal water in the surroundings, rippling. "Human, don't look down on me! Take my sword!" He let out a loud roar, and his sharp fangs were exposed. His face showed a bit of anger. What kind of cultivation was he? In the demon world, he was only below the celestial realm experts. He didn't expect to be ambushed. If it was just now, he was still very confident because he was following a celestial realm expert. But now, looking at Yu Lian's powerful attack, he no longer had such confidence. And all of this was caused by the human in front of him. How could he not hate in his heart? Suddenly, the saber aura rose. In an instant, the entire sky was filled with saber aura, and it slashed down like a group of shining stars. In an instant, it covered more than half of the sky, and a wave swept over. Yi Shiwen did not panic, and he faced it with the angel's sword. Dang! Another huge explosion rang out, and both of them retreated 2 steps. Surprisingly, they were evenly matched in this exchange. Yi Shiwen's realm was much lower than that of this great Devil Clan's master. At most, he could only contend against an ordinary powerhouse in the 9th heavenly layer of celestial realm. In the face of a top master who had already stepped into the 9th heavenly layer of celestial realm, he still had no way to deal with him. However, he had the angel's sword. This time, he had the upper hand in terms of magic tools, allowing him to fight against experts at the peak of the 9th heaven of the celestial realm. This time, Yi Shiwen took the initiative to launch an attack. The angel's sword in his hand was faintly blooming with light. It suddenly stabbed out. It was an ordinary stab, but it contained great momentum. Anyone who wanted to stop this great momentum would die without a burial place. Although Yi Shiwen was not a swordsman, he had his own best introduction to swordsmanship. This sword was ingenious, without any trace of skill. It was like an antelope hanging its horn, but the power was surprisingly great. And this old devil at the 9th level of the celestial being realm finally understood that what he was going to face was probably not an ordinary person. Ordinary people could not be compared to Yi Shiwen at all. He quickly waved the demonic saber in his hand, and slashed out thousands of saber shadows. The heaven-level, top-level magic tool matched with his powerful realm and strength, and the power exerted was amazing. For a time, he was actually evenly matched with Yi Shiwen, and he did not fall into a disadvantage at all. Boom! 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 Yi Shiwen and he exchanged thousands of blows in an instant, and each time, the fluctuations were more intense than the last. Every time, Yi Shiwen's sword light and the opponent's saber light would burst out with a terrifying light. The two did not stop at all and began to fight crazily. And at this time, the other masters at the 9th heavenly layer of Celestial Realm were also found by Yi Qiong, Yi Qianqian, and Yi Shukong. This was a rare opportunity. Like Yi Shiwen, their opponents were also terrifying masters at the peak of the 9th heavenly layer of Celestial Realm. If it was in normal times, to find such a top master to fight, there was naturally no need to mention the risks involved. But now, they could go all out. With the protection of the Hades Emperor of the Underworld Formation, they could easily protect themselves, so there was no need to worry about danger at all, and they could go all out. Moreover, they were also among the top talents of the human race, and each of them had their own secret techniques. At this time, they were actually evenly matched with their opponents. Especially Yi Qianqian, with the snow jade sword that had long been refined into one. Under the environment of the Hades Emperor of the Underworld Formation, she was actually able to suppress her opponent and gradually gain the upper hand. Every sword seemed to cover a world of ice and snow, incomparably powerful, and slowly revealed her own style, like a legendary goddess. Every sword was earth-shattering, yet silent. As the son of God, Yi Shukong became more and more powerful as his bloodline was stimulated. Even in the face of someone at the peak of the 9th sky of the Celestial Realm, who was much stronger than him, he was not at a disadvantage at all. His powerful bloodline gave him powerful magical powers. How could ordinary people with ordinary bloodlines be compared to him? Yi Qiong's combat prowess was not to be underestimated. The iron fan in his hand was constantly waving, and the laws of the wind condensed around him. As soon as he attacked, a terrible hurricane appeared. Not only did it block his opponent's advance, but it also blocked his escape route. Yi Qiong could only obediently fight with him and become his practice partner. Facing the 3 top young geniuses of the Yi clan, even the battle-hardened old demons could not do anything for a while. Even Qing Luo found a demon at the 7th heavenly layer of Celestial Realm to fight. Although for her, this was far beyond what her realm and strength could withstand. With the help of the Hades Emperor of the Underworld Formation, she had a chance of winning. She wanted to use this battle to break into the 6th heavenly layer of Celestial Realm in one fell swoop. Although she was still at the bottom of the group, she was not far from the 7th heavenly layer of Celestial Realm. At this time, the other demons were even more flustered, unable to support the others. Because the Hades Emperor of the Underworld Formation was activated, countless water dragons were attacking at every moment. They did not have the terrifying strength of Aguero, who could ignore these water dragons. Just these water dragons alone were enough to make them flustered, unable to free up their hands at all. Even the demons who were fighting with the Yi clan could not gain the upper hand because these water dragons could attack at any time, and the suppression of the Hades Emperor of the Underworld Formation. They did not dare to go all out, afraid that the Hades Emperor of the Underworld Formation would gain the upper hand. "Ha, come again? Eat my sword!" Yi Shiwen laughed loudly, and the angel's sword in his hand seemed to be able to read people's minds. It doubled in size, becoming a heavy sword. Under Yi Shiwen's control, the sword slashed out again. Yi Shiwen seemed to be practicing swordsmanship, and it was the simplest move, the most basic sword move. All the sword moves were developed from this, or it could be said that this was the condensation of all the sword moves. It was a simple slash, but it carried an unparalleled momentum. A casual stab of the sword could bring an overwhelming momentum that swept across the sky. That terrifying momentum completely fixed the great demon clan expert in front of him, making it impossible for him to escape. He could only obediently take this sword head-on. Clang! There was another loud collision sound, followed by a huge roar. The great demon clan expert suddenly discovered to his horror that the demonic saber in his hand was full of cracks. It had collided with Yi Shiwen countless times just now. Although his beloved magical tool was amazing and was already a top-level, heaven-level magical tool, it also depended on who it was compared with. Compared with Yi Shiwen's Angel's Sword, which had surpassed the existence of a heaven-level magical tool, it seemed to be no match at all. After withstanding so many collisions, his palm was full of cracks. However, these weren't the problem. The real problem was that his palm had completely turned into a ball. The terrible power had ruptured the web between his thumb and forefinger. Slowly, with each collision, it had completely turned into a ball of rotten flesh. Even with the physique of the devil race, there was no way for him to completely recover. It was conceivable how serious the injury on his hand was. Not only his palm, but his arms were also completely numb. He looked at Yi Shiwen in horror, unable to believe it. Is he still a human? Is he still a human who is easily bullied like a sheep in the eyes of all demons? He is simply a Tyrannosaurus in human skin. Thinking of this, he could not help but shudder a little, but there was no way. With the activation of the 9 Underworld Emperor formation, everyone had discovered that they could not escape at all. 1999 Underworld Emperor flags in all directions blocked all the space. Yi Shiwen did not take action for more than half a month just to refine the 9 Underworld Emperor flags used to set up the formation. Although it was only a formation flag, the power was also good. All of them were Heaven's Retribution martial instruments. Although they could not be compared with the 9 Underworld Emperor flags, in general, they were already very good. With the refining of the 1999 Underworld Emperor flags, the power of the 9 Underworld Emperor formation rose several levels out of thin air. Eat my sword again. Watch me finish you with one sword. Yi Shiwen shouted, and the angel's sword in his hand slashed out again. The heavy sword had no edge, and it was skillful. Boom! With a loud roar, the demonic saber in the hand of this 9th level celestial realm great demon clan was completely shattered on the spot, and the weapon spirit of the demonic saber was completely destroyed. The momentum of Yi Shiwen's angel's sword did not decrease, and it directly slashed down again. Puff! With the sound of the sword light entering the flesh, this 9th level celestial realm great demon clan master was directly cut in half. 100,000 points in hand. Chapter 16-17. In the valley where the human race gathered, a young man in a fiery robe was floating in the void. At this time, he was expressionlessly listening to other people's reports. So, Mu Tianning was captured by Yi Shiwen? After a long time, the young man in the fiery robe opened his mouth and said, "Yes, even Yi Kuang of the Yi clan, Lei Zhenhua of the Thunder clan, and Ning Songhai of the Limitless Star Palace were all defeated by him." Someone said, "The Sun clan was so powerful that there would always be people who were willing to give face to the Mu clan. From what you said, even 3 of them were defeated by Yi Shiwen's?" The young man in the fiery robe said in a cold voice. "Yes, what a bunch of trash. 4 of them couldn't even defeat one of them." The young man in the fiery robe said coldly. The young man in front of him couldn't help but smile bitterly again and again. He had seen with his own eyes that Yi Shiwen, an unknown guy, was simply fierce and invincible. Those 4 people weren't ordinary people. Unless the 4 tycoons personally took action, otherwise, no one would dare to say that they could firmly suppress those 4 people. Especially Lei Zhenhua, who was ranked in the top 10. Such tyrannical strength had unexpectedly been defeated by Yi Shiwen's hands. It could be seen from this that Yi Shiwen's fierceness was evident. However, the person in front of him was also qualified to say so, because he was also an invincible and ruthless person. Even he, who was ranked in the top 100 and was also a top genius of the human race, didn't dare to say that he was a formidable supreme expert. The 4 giants of the younger generation came from the 4 royal clans. Every time the imperial court struggle was held, the 4 royal clans would always send a small number of people. At most, they would send 6 or 7 people like the Yi clan this time, or at least 2 or 3 people. For most people, It was only after entering the top 100 list that they might be able to receive the focus of the imperial court's training. However, for those royal clans who had entered the imperial court, they were born to receive the training of the imperial court. This kind of opportunity was dispensable for them. And most importantly, almost every time the imperial court struggled, there would be people from the 4 royal clans who would stand out and occupy the top 4 positions. Over time, the strongest experts from the royal clans would be known as the 4 giants. This time, Fa Wushuang had risen to the top and occupied the top 3 positions. Then, Yi Shiwen had defeated the 4 great experts by joining hands. Even Yi Qianqian and Yi Shukong were looked upon favorably by the crowd. They believed that if they were to participate in the next imperial court contest, they would definitely be able to become one of the strongest. This person was one of the 4 giants, the terrifying genius of the Mu clan, Mu Tianfang. This time, the Mu clan sent a total of 2 people. Mu Tianfang was ranked 2nd, and Mu Tian'ing was ranked 11th. The 2 of them occupied 2 of the top 20 spots. The power of the royal clan was evident. Ha 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 ha. It seems that this Yi Shiwen is quite interesting. More and more geniuses of our human race have appeared in recent years. This is a good thing, a good thing. Another young man laughed heartily as he walked over. Many people recognized him at first glance. He was one of the 4 giants of the young generation, a top expert of the young generation, and the leader of the Taitsong royal family, one of the 4 royal families. Bai Bai Feng was also a powerful royal family that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Sun royal family. At this moment, only Bai Feng dared to answer Mu Tianfang's angry words. The ancestor of the Taitsong royal family, King Taitsong, was also a top expert of the human race. He protected the human race and was finally bestowed the title of King Taitsong. He was the 3rd peerless king of the human race after the Sun King and the Moon King. Moreover, it was said that King Taitsong had great achievements and was only 1 step away from the emperor realm. He was known as the first king of the human race since ancient times. However, he mysteriously disappeared in his later years and almost caused the human race to fall into enemy hands. At that time, a great demon by Fong appeared in the demon race. It united many forces of the demon race and wanted to kill its way out of the demon territory and recapture its ancestral land. The human race was located in the center of the barren land and was the first to bear the brunt. It just so happened that the 4th king of the human race, King Tai Ching, appeared out of nowhere during the chaos of war and war. He reorganized the country and eventually managed to contend against the demon race and prevent the demon race from breaking out of the demon territory. Mu Tianfang glanced at Bai Feng and said, "It won't be a good thing for our human race if this person harbors ill intentions." Everyone kept their mouths shut and didn't speak. Everyone was very clear that the 4 royal clans dominated the structure of the Taitsong royal family. The 28 marquee clans also had their own inclinations. Among them, the Yi clan had always been in close contact with the Taitsong royal family. They were a member of the Taitsong royal family's camp. At this time, they naturally had to speak up for the Yi clan. Compared to the actions of these 4 people, Yi Shiwen's actions aren't worthy of investigation. The 4 of them joined forces. It'll be a joke if this gets out. The 4 of them were no match for Yi Shiwen. Bai Feng sneered, Mu Tianfang. If I were you, I'd better not intervene in this matter. Let's not talk about whether you can solve this matter or not. Let's talk about the fact that they joined forces to ambush the experts of the human race in broad daylight. You should know what kind of crime this is. At this time, the word unity is very important. I don't need to say anything more to you. Even if it's for the sake of appearance, your Mu clan will still act like this. Of course, the most important thing is that, as you said, these 4 are trash. The 4 of them joined forces, and yet they couldn't even take down Yi Shiwen. For your Mu clan, this is already a big loss of face. Do you still want to make a fuss? It's not up to you to judge the people of our Mu clan. Mu Tianfang said coldly. He could say that Mu Tian'ing was trash, but he couldn't allow others to say that. The dignity that the Mu clan has lost, we will find it ourselves. No one can step on the dignity of the Mu clan. Fa Wushuang can't do it, and that Yi Shiwen can't either. What dignity? Isn't that a little too serious? Besides, you might not be his match, Bai Feng said. Although those 4 people are no match for us. I don't need to say more about his strength to defeat the 4 of them in one go. And didn't he say that he was going to turn the tables? Now that the time is almost up, we might as well take a good look at how he is going to turn the tables. Bai Feng said while laughing. You believe this kind of nonsense? Mu Tianfeng said coldly. Until now, there has been no movement at all. I want to see how he is going to turn the tables. As for what Yi Shiwen had said before, Mu Tianfeng, like most people, didn't believe it at all. How could a celestial realm expert be so easy to kill? To him, what Yi Shiwen had said was just trying to please the crowd. It was completely impossible. It moved, Yi Shiwen's score moved. Suddenly, someone shouted excitedly. Everyone heard this voice and immediately looked at the scoreboard. There were a total of a few dozen people on the scoreboard. The huge scoreboard seemed a little empty. Everyone's eyes were locked on Yi Shiwen's name at once. Originally, when he said that he was going to turn the tables, some people were looking forward to it for a while, hoping to see him turn the tables. Who knew that after half a month, there was still no change in his score. Therefore, people gradually lost interest and only regarded it as a joke, a very funny joke. But who would have thought that when everyone had completely given up, Yi Shiwen's score actually moved. Therefore, everyone was especially excited. A powerful existence that could defeat Ing Songhai and the others. And many people even thought that he was a powerful existence that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the 4 giants. For such an expert to say that he was going to turn the tables, what he said was like spilled water. How could he say it casually? At their level, they were well aware of the principle that food could be eaten indiscriminately, but words could not be said indiscriminately. And now, Yi Shiwen's score finally changed. Amazing, it's 100,000 points right from the start. Someone shouted excitedly. 100,000 points, suddenly coming up. Did he slaughter a Celestial Realm 9th Celestial Realm expert? Why is it impossible? He had already defeated a few Celestial Realm 9th Celestial Realm experts. At this time, it is not difficult to kill a Celestial Realm 9th Celestial Realm demon. Could it be that he is going to kill more than a dozen Celestial Realm 9th Celestial Realm experts in one go to turn the tables? How is it possible? How can there be so many Celestial Realm 9th Celestial Realm experts for him to kill in such a short time? It is not easy to encounter such an expert normally. Many people suddenly started discussing. Everyone had their own judgment, and many people felt that Yi Shiwen might have his own plans, but no one could really guess what Yi Shiwen's real plan was. Look, it is not over yet. 10,000 points. It has increased by another 10,000 points, which means that he has beheaded another Celestial Realm 8th Celestial Realm expert. At this time, many people began to get excited. At this time, for most people, the fight for the first place had nothing to do with them. At this time, if they could see a shocking reversal, then for them, it was no different from a very interesting show. 10,000 points, 1,000 points, 100 points. Yi Shiwen's score was crazily rising in front of everyone's eyes. 100 points, 1,000 points, 10,000 points. Every once in a while, his score would constantly rise. Although everyone couldn't see the battlefield at this time, but through the constant changes in his score, it was as if they could see the fierce battle. Damn, this is too fake. In such a short time, there are actually a few Celestial Realm 8th Celestial Realm and Celestial Realm 7th Celestial Realm experts killed. Chapter 1618. F***CK me, this is too fake. It's only been a short time, and there are actually a few 8th and 7th Firmament Celestial Realm experts who have been killed. Even if those experts gather for him to kill, it won't be so easy. It's also possible. After all, experts at the 9th layer of the Sky Human Realm often bring subordinates from other realms. Just like when I was chased by experts at the 9th layer of the Sky Human Realm before, I also brought many demons at the 8th and 7th layer of the Sky Human Realm to help surround and intercept them. For a moment, all kinds of discussions arose. Everyone had their own opinions and judgments, but without exception, they were all shocked by Yi Shiwen. At this time, Mu Tianfeng also frowned slightly. He did not expect that just when he told Bai Feng that it was impossible for Yi Shiwen to make a comeback, Yi Shiwen proved it with practical actions. Although at this time, there was still a gap of millions of points to surpass them. For him, this was tantamount to being slapped in the face by Yi Shiwen. "What do you think?" I said it. Bai Feng glanced at Mu Tianfeng and said, "This is nothing. He still needs millions of points to surpass us. Unless he can slaughter 10 demons at the 9th celestial realm in such a short time," Mu Tianfeng said coldly. However, his heart was beating like a drum. Truth be told, this was not a difficult task. 10 ninth heavenly layer sky human realm demons was an impossible task for an ordinary 9th heavenly layer sky human realm expert. However, for experts of their level, it was not an impossible task. In fact, if it were not for the state of being chased for most of the time in the past 6 months, their achievements would be far more than this. They might even be able to reach 2 or 3 million points. At that time, it was absolutely impossible for Yi Shiwen to surpass them again. But even now, it was unlikely for Yi Shiwen to make a comeback. How much time was left? If Yi Shiwen could make a comeback in a few days, wouldn't it be a slap in the face to all of them? They had worked hard for more than half a year, yet they could not compare to others. A few days of hard work was undoubtedly trampling on their hard work, especially when more than half of them had lost their lives. As for the remaining people, which one of them had not experienced a narrow escape from death? Some of them had even been hunted for an entire month. If Yi Shiwen could make a comeback like this, then what was the point of their hard work for half a year? But then, another loud cry was heard. 100,000 points, another 100,000 points. He has more than 200,000 points. Suddenly, everyone's eyes were focused on the scoreboard again. 100,000 points after another 100,000 points. This meant that he had slaughtered another 9th firmament heaven realm expert. Not even a quarter of an hour had passed since then. Additionally, he had also massacred those experts at the 7th and 8th layer of the sky human stage. In other words, Yi Shiwen slaughtered the 9th level of celestial realm, and it didn't take much time at all. Although they couldn't see the situation of the battle, but judging from the rising score, it could almost be described as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Under normal circumstances, having a 9th celestial realm master come out to kill him is already more or less enough. How come there is a second 9th celestial realm master? Suddenly, everyone was a little dumbfounded. They were not fools. Soon, they had already determined that Yi Shiwen should have been chased. So it was possible that he first slaughtered the 9th celestial realm, and then slaughtered a group of 8th celestial realm and 7th celestial realm masters. Originally, everyone thought that this should be the end. After all, this wave of pursuers should have been completely annihilated. Who knew that he actually slaughtered another 9th celestial realm master, which meant that this time it was not just one group of people. There might be 2 groups of people, which was why such a situation was possible. At this time, everyone's interest was suddenly aroused. Yi Shiwen, who was thought to have completely disappeared in these last few days, he actually burst out with such great power again, killing 2 9th celestial realm masters in a row. This score was not enough to surpass the top of the scoreboard, but it was enough for him to be in the top 30. After that, those people were only at the peak of the 8th celestial realm. It was impossible for them to kill 9th celestial realm masters, and killing 8th celestial realm demons was only worth 10,000 points. It was impossible to catch up with these people. Just like the top 20, each of them also had 300,000 or 400,000 points, but there was still a huge gap between them and the top of the scoreboard, who had more than 1,000,000 points. It was impossible to surpass them. Everyone was waiting to see if Yi Shiwen could create any miracle. Even Mu Tianfeng, although disdainful on the surface, was still paying attention to Yi Shiwen's situation. At the same time, Yi Shiwen was still fighting. Puchi, the angel sword in his hand, was like a demon sword, constantly killing and slaughtering. Another 7th celestial realm demon could not stop him at all, and was directly killed by Yi Shiwen's sword on the spot. All the blood essence in the body was completely absorbed by Tianyuan mirror, and a part of it was returned to essence, which was absorbed by him little by little. With his current realm, although it was not considered high, the essence needed was very large. Following the killing of a 7th firmament heaven realm expert, his points rose by another 1,000 points, but these were not things that he paid attention to. For him, who was now behind by millions of points, these thousands or even tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of points could not make up for his decline. If he could not surpass those at the top of the scoreboard in one fell swoop, then all his previous efforts would be for naught, and everything he had said before would become a joke, a complete joke. Who knew how many people were waiting to see him make a fool of himself? He was very clear about this, and the only factor that could decide all of this was Arguello. Only by killing Arguello could his points increase explosively. The foundation for a comeback was also on Arguello. At this moment, he looked at the battlefield between Arguello and Julien, two celestial realm masters, any one of which would be a shocking existence in the outside world, were currently fighting crazily, occupying the most central position. At this moment, no one could get close at all. Even the aftermath of a celestial realm master's battle was much more powerful than that of an ordinary person's. Even Yi Shiwen didn't want to get close. In the space near them, countless laws appeared and were forcefully broken. Chaos also leaked out everywhere. Although Yu Lian's celestial realm strength suppressed Arguello's middle celestial realm strength, it was already a matter of life and death. If he didn't fight with his life on the line, then he might be killed by Yu Lian. Arguello didn't dare to be careless at all. All the trump cards that he had prepared were thrown out at this moment. Yu Lian actually couldn't take him down in such a hurry. Boom! 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 The aftermath of their battle swept out, turning into astral winds that caused the 9 Nether Emperor water to fluctuate violently. Although everyone was fighting, in reality, a portion of their attention was focused on the battle between the two. Everyone knew that no matter how intense their battle was, it was useless. Only the two of them would decide the outcome of the battle. Who won and who lost would directly determine their life and death. This was especially so for these demons who were now trapped in a 9 Nether Emperor formation. This was a powerful formation created by the Demon King. Coupled with Yu Lian's terrifying strength, it made them suffer unspeakably. There was no way for them to escape. Not to mention, Yi Shiwen was patrolling the area like a god of death. All those who tried to escape were completely beheaded by him. Those 2 ninth heaven of celestial realm experts were discovered by Yi Shiwen when they tried to escape, and then they were completely beheaded. At this moment, the battle between Yu Lian and Arguello had also reached its climax. Arguello, I advise you to surrender and stop wasting everyone's time. Yu Lian said, Are you joking? How is that possible? Arguello roared continuously. Endless demon energy condensed around his body to resist Yu Lian's continuous bombardment. Then don't blame me. Even the young master is getting impatient. You cannot be pardoned even if you die, Yu Lian said coldly. Countless 9 Nether Emperor water began to condense around her body and condensed into a huge image in the void. It was a huge water giant. As the huge water giant began to move, the entire space became like the surface of water, constantly fluctuating. Terrifying sounds frantically spread in all directions. In the 9 Nether Emperor water, Yu Lian was the only ruler. She was the most powerful ruler. Ah! 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 Many weaker devils directly exploded into blood mist on the spot, and then were absorbed by Tianyuan Mirror. For Yu Lian, if she wanted to resurrect Yimo, she couldn't do without the blood essence of these devils. So strong, so scary. Where did Yi Shiwen find a helper? It's actually a demon? At this time, Yi Qiong also took the time to keep an eye on Yu Lian's situation. Fortunately, he was relieved that Yu Lian could completely suppress Arguello. At this time, everyone finally understood why Yi Shiwen was so confident that he could turn the tables. Come to think of it, if he had such a fighter, his score would have long since surpassed 2 million points. Let me finish you off, Yu Lian said coldly. Chapter 16:19. Yu Lian's expression turned cold. A Heaven's End realm expert had terrifying strength that ordinary people couldn't even imagine. Even the experts at the 9th level of the Heaven's End realm couldn't withstand a single blow from them. Even Yi Qiong and the others widened their eyes. A battle between two Heaven's End realm experts was rare. It would be very beneficial for them when they tried to step into the Heaven's End realm in the future. At that moment, the spear in Aguero's hand finally moved. A torrential spear light pierced out, turning into a torrential wave that instantly stabbed towards Yulien. This time, he wanted to make the first move. The beautiful woman in front of him was too terrifying. She was so powerful that he felt a chill from the bottom of his heart. Facing such a top-notch expert, he could only go all out. Only by going all out would he have a chance of survival. Yulien's face was expressionless. With a wave of her hand, the endless Hades royal water condensed into a long sword in her hand. She casually stabbed out with the sword, but it seemed to have pierced through the heavens and the river of history. Although Yulien wasn't a sword cultivator, at her level of cultivation, she was still able to unleash terrifying power. Boom! The two beams of light collided fiercely in the void, shattering the void and collapsing everything. The aftermath swept down, and the entire royal water of the underworld began to boil crazily. Countless drops of royal water of the underworld were cut in half on the spot. However, the spear light he stabbed out only lasted for a short while before completely collapsing. Although he was also a Heaven's End realm expert, the expert he was facing was just too strong. She was a late-stage Heaven's End realm expert. She was just one realm higher than him, but it was like a chasm. The sword light tore through the sky and grew with the wind. It slashed down towards Aguero like a mountain. Boom! There was another huge explosion as the sword light directly slashed onto Aguero's spear. Dang! There was a huge explosion as a powerful force pierced through Aguero's arms. A violent shockwave finally made it impossible for him to hold on to the spear in his hand. With a loud, buzzing sound, he flew out and turned into a ray of light that disappeared into the sky. No one knew where he had flown off to. One must know that Yulien's original body was an artifact, so she wasn't weaker than anyone in terms of strength and power. It would be a huge mistake to underestimate her just because she was a weak woman. It's time to end this. Yulien's voice rang out once again in front of Arguello. At this moment, he was horrified to discover that there was another Yulien in the distance. She was so fast that her afterimage remained in midair. She had barely started to disappear at this moment. From this, it could be seen how fast Yulien's speed was. It could be said that it was simply shocking. No, you can't do this. Aguero was terrified. Aguero, who had always lived like a prince, was horrified to find that the status and realm he had always relied on were nothing in front of this woman. No one really cared about him. At this moment, he finally reacted, but Yulien's sword ray was fast and urgent. In just an instant, it had already slashed at his sky peak. He only had time to set up many barriers and defenses in front of him to protect himself. Then, Yulien's sword light slashed down. The strong wind brought about by the huge force was so strong that even his cheeks were hurting slightly. Bang! 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 Loud explosions sounded out one after another. The spirit formation he had set up was instantly destroyed by someone. It should be said that it was destroyed by Yulien. The huge force of the sword light slashed his body. Aguero screamed in pain as he was sent flying. His chest was a bloody mess, and a huge wound appeared on his chest. Blood flowed out. So fast, everyone saw Aguero fly backward and finally came back to their senses. They were still filled with disbelief. The battle between Heaven Realm experts was so quick that they couldn't even react. It was much more terrifying than what they had imagined. No matter how close they were to the truth, if it wasn't real, then it wasn't real. If they hadn't personally witnessed it, they wouldn't have been able to understand how terrifying an End Realm expert was. As soon as Algero was blasted away, a huge hand condensed in the Hades royal water. It grabbed him in an instant and fixed him in midair. Die! The sword light in Yulien's hand shone brightly like a torrent of energy. It cut through the void and pierced into Aguero's body. Bang! In an instant, Aguero was heavily injured. Even if he was a celestial realm expert, it was useless. In front of such a terrifying sword glow, he was instantly crippled. Young master, do it! At this time, Yulien quickly shouted, "Hunt!" Yi Shiwen's voice had just fallen when the sword light he had shot out arrived in an instant. Pucci. Wherever the sword light passed, his head was directly chopped off. Aguero finally breathed his last as his head was chopped off. A Heaven Realm expert had finally met his end. In the end, he didn't die at the hands of Yu Lian, who was at the same level as him. Instead, he died at Yi Shiwen's hands. On the other side, the people who had been watching Yi Shiwen's points nervously watched for a while. Yi Shiwen didn't kill any more demons, so his points stopped rising. They couldn't help but feel a little regretful. They didn't expect it to end just like that. I knew it. He couldn't win at all. How could it be so easy to turn the tables at the last moment? Someone said in disdain, but this is already very amazing. In just the last moment, his ranking has increased by more than 10 places in one go. If this continues, even if he can't win the championship, I'm afraid he can enter the top 20. With his strength, even entering the top 10 is more than enough. However, just when everyone had stopped paying attention to it, someone suddenly screamed. He turned the tables, he really turned the tables. One had to know that almost everyone present was an elite among the younger generation. Whether it was their temperament or cultivation, they were all top-notch existences. They had always been very calm. Ordinary things wouldn't be able to make them so excited. The only reason why they were so excited was that Yi Shiwen had really turned the tables. His points, which had remained stagnant a moment ago, suddenly shot up to more than 1,000,000 points. He became the 6th person, after the 4 magnates and Fa Wushuang, to break 1,000,000 points. Moreover, his score was rising crazily. He instantly killed the top 3 contestants and was almost on par with Mu Tian, who was in 2nd place. It could be said that they were neck and neck with each other. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in a daze. It wasn't because of the score. In fact, many of these people didn't care too much about the score. With their talent, even if the score wasn't high enough, it didn't mean anything. What was interesting was the fight for the top spot. In the past, it was a fight between the 4 giants. This year, there was another Fa Wushuang. Now, there was another Yi Shiwen who joined the intense fight for the top spot. However, what they cared about was the meaning behind this sudden increase in points. They weren't stupid and could see clearly that there was only one possibility for someone's points to instantly increase by more than 1,000,000 points. That was, he had killed a Heaven Realm expert. Everyone was dumbfounded. No matter what method he used to slaughter them, it was undoubtedly an extremely inconceivable matter to them. It could even be said that it was something that they could not believe. When did a grade 9 Celestial Realm cultivator actually be able to slaughter Celestial End Realm experts? This was too heaven-defying. It was just too amazing. A Celestial Realm expert. He really killed a Celestial Realm expert. Oh my God. Did I see wrongly? Oh my God, I'm going crazy, it hurts, he really did it. I'm really going crazy. Many people were looking forward to Yi Shiwen's success. Some people also felt that it was possible for Yi Shiwen to achieve it. After all, they had already reached this level. So, how could they speak carelessly? They would become the laughingstock of everyone if they couldn't achieve it. In fact, it might become a lifelong stain. However, when Yi Shiwen really did it and turned the tables, it was hard for them to accept it. After all, they didn't believe that Yi Shiwen could achieve this from the bottom of their hearts. It was like a fantasy story for them. Once this matter spreads out, the entire world will be shaken. No matter what method he used, he killed a Celestial Realm demon. That's not wrong. He really turned the tables, and his points instantly exceeded 1,000,000. Look, his score hasn't stopped yet. His score is still rising. Just as everyone was still immersed in the shock of Yi Shiwen's points breaking 1,000,000, someone suddenly shouted. Everyone looked at the leaderboard, and as expected, Yi Shiwen's points were still rising rapidly. 100,000 points. Another 100,000 points, which meant that he had killed another Celestial Realm expert. If it was before, it would be enough to shock everyone, but now that he had just slaughtered a Celestial Realm expert, everything seemed so ordinary, as if it was nothing at all. Even a Celestial Realm expert was killed, much less a mere Celestial Realm Grade 9. Chapter 1620. Everyone was calm. It was as if they had experienced the baptism of heaven realm experts being slaughtered. Everyone was calm all of a sudden. They didn't even care about a mere ninth heaven realm expert. With another 100,000 points, Yi Shiwen's ranking suddenly surpassed Mu Tianfeng, who was ranked second. In front of him was only Bai Bai Feng. Bai Bai Feng's points weren't much higher than Yi Shiwen's, only tens of thousands of points. It should be said that the points between the top five were almost the same. There wasn't much difference, only a difference of tens of thousands of points. For those at the bottom, the difference of tens of thousands of points was huge. But for them, it was just a matter of whether they were willing to surpass Yi Shiwen. Mu Tianfeng's complexion alternated between green and white. He hadn't expected that Yi Shiwen wouldn't be able to surpass him. He had just said that it was impossible for Yi Shiwen to make a comeback. And Yi Shiwen had given him an earth-shattering reversal. It was a resounding slap. He could almost feel the mockery in everyone's eyes as they looked at him. To be able to stand here, which one of them wasn't a top genius, but an expert from the four royal families had surpassed them. They were already dissatisfied. Now that they had a chance to mock Mu Tianfeng, they naturally wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Mu Tianfeng's heart was burning with anger, but he had no way to vent it, because the more he did so, the more it seemed like he had a guilty conscience. He looked in the direction of Bai Feng and said, "He's going to surpass you soon. Don't you care? What's there to be happy about? This kind of score doesn't have any practical meaning, especially to us. Don't tell me that you think I'm stronger than you just because my score is higher than yours." Bai Feng smiled faintly. There was some disdain at the corner of his mouth. It was really laughable to want to drive a wedge between them at this time. Even if his score was surpassed, so what? It didn't matter at all. This kind of score victory was nothing more than a few more demons killed. It was just a competition for them. In other words, it was like a small game to them. There was nothing worth caring about at all. And at this time, because of this matter, they were jealous of Yi Shiwen and pushed him into the opponent's camp. That was the stupidest thing to do. If he wanted to become the king of the royal court in the future, he would need the support of such a peak expert. Not only would he need the support of the Taicang royal clan, he would also need the support of the 28 marquee clans. Since there was a gap in his heart, he naturally wouldn't care about such things. Mu Tianfeng glared at Bai Feng coldly and didn't say anything else. If he continued, he would only be humiliating himself. There was no need at all. "Yi Shiwen good, very good, very good." Mu Tianfeng secretly muttered this name. He hadn't paid any attention to Yi Shiwen before. However, this guy who he had never paid any attention to had given him a tight slap in the face. Moreover, the person who had given him this slap was none other than himself. Because of this, he had nothing to say and no way to vent the anger in his heart. However, he had completely remembered Yi Shiwen because of this. Bai Feng looked at Mu Tianfeng and couldn't help but laugh in his heart. He knew this old rival of his for hundreds of years too well. Therefore, he was very clear about how narrow-minded Yi Shiwen was. However, this was also good. This would instead push the Yi family in the direction of the Taicang royal clan. However, he also looked at the list. Yi Shiwen's name was particularly kind, and it was still rising. This time, the Yi family had also grown a group of strong experts. Not to mention Yi Shiwen. Even Yi Shukong and Yi Qianqian couldn't be underestimated. Compared to these people, Yi Qiong wasn't so dazzling. There was no other reason than age. These three people had a far greater age advantage than everyone else. It rose. Yi Shiwen rose by another 10,000 points. Someone saw it. Everyone saw it, and sure enough, it rose by another 10,000 points. Everyone was calculating how many experts Yi Shiwen had killed. Moreover, he had killed them in a single battle. How many experts had besieged him? To be able to finish off so many experts in one go, Yi Shiwen's tyrannical strength was simply terrifying. Because although it was said that celestial realm experts could ascend to the heavens with each step, once the number reached a certain level, then everything would change. Moreover, there were many celestial realm experts among them, and there were even celestial realm experts who were basic celestial realm experts. Everyone began to be curious. What could be done to achieve such a level? And while everyone was guessing, Yi Shiwen's points were still rising at a rapid rate of 10,000 points, 1,000 points. Everyone was guessing whether he could surpass by phone. Although at this time, everyone no longer doubted him. There were not enough demons for him to surpass. The experts of the devil race were scattered in the vast land of the devil realm. This was also why these people only had 1 million points after such a long time. In addition to being constantly chased and having very little time, there was another big problem. That was, if they wanted to kill them, they had to find them first. Therefore, Yi Shiwen also needed to lure them in first. However, Yi Shiwen quickly told them that this was not a problem. 100,000 points, another 100,000 points. At this time, everyone was a little numb. 100,000 points, another 100,000 points. With the addition of this 100,000 points, Yi Shiwen's name rushed to the top of the list in one go, suddenly above by phone. Everyone no longer cared about the score. Yi Shiwen had surpassed by phone, which meant that Yi Shiwen had fulfilled his initial promise. He had indeed turned the tables. Moreover, he had done it in the last month. No, it should be said that he had succeeded in turning the tables in the last few days. As for how many points he had surpassed by phone, no one cared anymore. Whether it was 10 points, 100 points, 1,000 points, or 10,000 points, he had already surpassed by phone, so there was no meaning to it at all. He really did it. Fa Wushuang looked at the name on the list. Because of Yi Shiwen's sudden rise, he had fallen from the top 3 to the 4th place. However, he didn't care about it at all. Just like these people, this battle for points was more of a battle of pride. No one would really think that the side with the higher points was stronger than them. They wouldn't admit defeat so easily. However, Yi Shiwen's score was a little too shocking. He didn't kill a Celestial Realm expert to accumulate points, but he killed a Celestial Realm expert to climb up. As expected, he is not an ordinary person, Fa Wushuang said slowly. Our human race, after this time, will have another top expert. This is something worth celebrating. When the time comes, we will not be so weak when competing with the other races. At this time, a young man in a white robe said slowly. His temperament was slightly cold, but it was not the negative kind of coldness. It was a slightly cold temperament, a sense of righteousness and righteousness. Everyone also knew that this expert was not a stranger, but a top expert among the young experts of the Sun Moon Royal Tribe, a leading figure. He was also second to Fa Wushuang, the 5th person on the list this time, Sun Moon Royal Tribe, Yurong of the Yu family. That's right, haha. This time is interesting. Does this mean that we are being stepped on by a newcomer? Accompanied by a forthright voice, a young man in a green robe walked in with big steps. He was 28 or 29 years old, and his face was not considered handsome, could only be considered ordinary, but he had a strong aura that ordinary people did not have, hidden in his body, faintly discernible. This was also the last of the 4 young giants, the top leader of this generation of the Sun Moon Royal Tribe, Yun Bui. Among the 4 giants, he was the most legendary figure. His original name wasn't Yun Bai, but he changed it to Bai later on. It meant that his heart was firm and unwavering, showing his unwavering determination to pursue the Tao. Originally, although Yun Buyi's talent could not be considered bad, among the many geniuses of the Yun family, he was not outstanding. However, after hundreds of years, the original geniuses were surpassed by him one by one. And in the end, he, an ordinary disciple of the Yun family, finally became the top leader of this generation of the Yun family. These things were also known by everyone, so they were even more impressed, because an ordinary person would definitely not be able to reach such a level. Such a newcomer, the more the merrier, isn't it? Especially in these troubled times. Bye-bye Feng said with a smile. That's right. No matter what method he used, as long as he killed the experts of the celestial realm of the devil race, it is definitely a matter worthy of celebration. Yu Rong said with a smile, not the slightest bit annoyed because his score had been surpassed. At their level, the competition also depended on whether it was worth it or not, just like Mu Tian Fong, but if it were them, there was no need to become enemies with Yi Shiwen just for a list ranking. It could be said that it was not easy for such a top expert to appear in the Ho family. Such a person not only had amazing talent, but also had heaven-defying luck. No matter which one it was, they did not want to offend him. To sum it up, there was no need to do so at all. While they were speaking, there was a violent fluctuation in the void. After that, a teleportation gate was torn open in the void. A figure slowly walked out from it, glanced at the crowd, and said, "Is everyone here?" Chapter 16:21. Is everyone here? Along with this voice, a figure walked out from the crack in the void and glanced at everyone in the valley. Tianfeng, where is Tianying? This was a middle-aged expert. His face was resolute and revealed a great majesty. He looked at everyone, but didn't see Mu Tianying. He couldn't help but ask. Reporting to Uncle, Tianying has been captured. Mu Tianfeng said calmly. Captured? Who? Which demon clan? The middle-aged man couldn't help but ask. At this time, the only ones who could capture Mu Tianying were naturally the demon race. Although they were prepared for it, after all, anything could happen in the demon realm. But when it really happened, they still couldn't let it go. Although this time, there were only 2 people from the Mujia. Each of them was a peerless genius of the Mujia. Losing even one of them would be a huge loss. All the previous training would go down the drain. If they died in the battle, it would be fine. But if they were captured and some of the Imperial Court secrets were interrogated, it would be a great crime. And the identity of this person was obvious. He was a celestial realm old ancestor of the Mu clan. Although he looked like a middle-aged man, he was actually a few thousand years old. Keeping his appearance unchanged was indeed nothing for top experts like them. It's not the demon clan. At this time, Mu Tianfeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. If this matter was spread out, the Mu clan would definitely lose face. If it's not the demon clan, could it be the human clan? Could it be that someone dares to kidnap a disciple of the Mu clan? I think he's really daring. At this time, the old ancestor of the Mu clan glared angrily. The aura of his body instantly burst out and swept out majestically. It was like a sky full of waves. In an instant, it enveloped the entire valley. The vast and terrifying strength that belonged to the celestial realm spread out in an instant. Everyone instantly felt a powerful force like a mountain crushing down on them. Even though they were all top experts in the celestial realm, they still felt a strong pressure in front of the pressure of a celestial realm expert. Even if this old ancestor of the Mu clan used his full strength, they could even feel the strong pressure. Yes, he is from the human race. Granduncle, please look at the scoreboard. Yi Shiwen is currently at the top of the scoreboard. Mu Tianfeng said faintly. First place? Aren't you guys the first place? He looked at the 4 great leaders in surprise. He had thought that the person at the top would definitely be one of them. Who would have thought that it wasn't? This was completely out of their expectations. It should be known that in the past, only the experts of the 4 great royal clans were at the top of the rankings. They didn't even need to use any cheating methods. Although those brothers and sisters had a lot of resources, they still couldn't compare to the experts of the royal clans. Just a normal competition was enough to eliminate the experts who weren't from the royal clans. If it was only the top few, it would be fine. In the past, there would always be a few people popping up. But if it was a first place, it seemed that there had never been an outsider. At this moment, he looked at the ranking and couldn't help but be stunned. His surname is Yi. Is he from the Yi family? He wasn't so ignorant that he didn't even know about the Yi family. However, he didn't care too much about it. Although the Yi family had many experts, they still couldn't be compared to the real royal family. That's right, it's the Yi family. Then, Mu Tianfeng told him the whole story. Outrageous. He actually dared to kidnap the experts of our Mu clan. And he even dared to be so arrogant as to ask the elders to come and take him away. I want to see how arrogant this brat is. If the Yi family really lacks discipline, then I don't mind personally disciplining this junior on behalf of Yi Tianxiong. He is really out of control. This is a big crime and a capital crime, the old ancestor of the Mu clan said in an extremely angry manner. Obviously, he had completely ignored the fact that it was Ying Songhai, Mu Tianying, and the others who had tried to kill Yi Shiwen first. In his opinion, nothing had happened to Yi Shiwen. So, he was actually holding on to this matter. Moreover, even if something had happened to Yi Shiwen, how could a guy from the Ho clan be compared to the descendants of the royal clan? In the ancient times, They would have had the relationship of a monarch and a minister. Now, he was waiting for Yi Shiwen to show his face. Of course, he would only think about this in his heart. He wouldn't say it out loud. After all, they still had to pay attention to unity. There were so many descendants of the Ho clan here. If they heard it, it wouldn't be good. Under the pressure of a powerful Heaven Realm expert, no one dared to say anything. It wasn't a good idea to directly challenge the dignity of a Heaven Realm expert. At the same time, Yi Shiwen still didn't know what had happened at the gathering point in the valley. At this time, he was still cleaning up the experts of the Demon Clan. Without the leader of the Heaven Realm, the rest of the Demon Clan was very easy to clean up, especially after the few Heaven Realm experts were cleaned up by Yi Shiwen and the others. The rest of the Demon Clan couldn't withstand a single blow. Very quickly, they were all cleaned up. Yi Shiwen, I really didn't think that you would actually do it in the end. What the heck, turning the tables in the last month. This kind of thing, probably only you can do it. Yi Qiong couldn't help but exclaim. If it was someone else, even if he heard it, he wouldn't believe it. But now, he saw it with his own eyes and experienced it personally. In the end, there's nothing mysterious about it. It's nothing more than killing a Heaven Realm expert. Yi Shiwen said with a smile. You make it sound easy, but let them do it. Even the 4 young giants definitely wouldn't dare to say that they can do it. At least until now, among the younger generation, I've definitely not heard of anyone who has done it. You should be the first, Yi Qiong said with a smile. Yi Shukong, who was on the side, looked at Yi Shiwen with a surprised expression. He thought that he had made enough progress during this period of time, but when he saw Yi Shiwen in person, he realized that Yi Shiwen's progress was even more amazing in comparison. Although he used the tool spirit to kill a Heaven Realm expert, it was also one of Yi Shiwen's trump cards. He was also very clear that even if he used all his trump cards, he would not be able to kill a Heaven Realm expert. The difference between the two was too big, much bigger than the difference between the Law Phase Realm and the Heaven Realm. He currently had no way to overcome such a gap, but now Yi Shiwen already had a way to overcome it. This was enough. He wasn't used to finding excuses for himself. The strong were the strong, the weak were the weak. It didn't matter. There was still a long way to go. The competition had just begun. A moment of strength and weakness didn't mean anything. Moreover, the most important thing was that he himself was very clear that although he was the son of God and had the bloodline of God, if there wasn't a competitor like Yi Shiwen constantly reminding him that he was still too far away, he definitely wouldn't be able to reach this level at this age. Yi Shiwen was like a benchmark on his path forward. He couldn't stop for even a moment, and he couldn't stop. I still have a long way to go. Wait until I can kill a Heaven Realm expert myself. Yi Shiwen said with a smile. He didn't feel that a Heaven Realm expert was that unattainable. They could still be killed by them. You really dare to think. If I can truly step into the Heaven Realm within 50 years, I feel that my progress is already very fast. Yi Qiong sighed and said, if we say that before the Heaven Realm, we can still rely on our talent and family's resources to do whatever we want. Then after reaching the Heaven Realm, we can only rely on enduring until our deaths. In the future, the most important factor that determines whether we can improve quickly is opportunity. If we have the opportunity, it is possible to step into the Heaven Realm within 10 years. Yi Qiong said, I'm still too early, haha. Yi Shiwen said with a smile. The others had already started to think about this matter, and he was only at the 6th level of the Heaven Realm. He was still far from the Heaven Realm, but it's going to be soon. With your cultivation progress, I'm afraid that within 10 years, you will face this problem. You are all the best of this generation in our Yi clan. I can even tell you the truth. When I was your age, I was far inferior to you. With you guys here, the Yi clan will have a chance to flourish. Yi Qiong also sighed and said, between the few of them, after going through several life and death situations, their relationship had long been extraordinary. But among the 3 of you, I think the most optimistic is Su Kong. He is the son of God, and there are no obstacles in his cultivation. When the time comes, even if he cultivates to Tian Ruini's level, it should be a natural thing. Although you and Xianxian are both not bad, and have your own fortuitous encounters in this stage, you most likely won't be able to beat him. And those others, although some of them are not your opponents now, their many years of foundation is enough to let them be ahead of you. Yi Qiong said, I understand, but I will not admit defeat so easily. Yi Shiwen said with a smile, I still have very important things to do. I will definitely not stop outside the heaven realm so easily. His expression was abnormally firm. Only Yi Qianqian seemed to understand a little. After everyone packed up, they began to rush to the gathering point. The time for the gathering was getting closer and closer. No one dared to delay. After flying for a day and a night, they finally arrived at the valley where the gathering point was located. Yi Shiwen had just stepped into the valley when suddenly a tyrannical pressure directly shrouded him. You are Yi Shiwen? Chapter 16:22. Yi Shiwen had just stepped into the valley when he suddenly felt an incomparably huge and dreadful pressure directly crushing down on him. This pressure directly crushed down on him. He didn't plan to hold back at all and wanted to crush him until he fell. Yi Shiwen naturally wouldn't allow himself to be captured so easily. After a cold scoff, the divinity on his body boiled to resist this powerful pressure. A heaven realm expert. At this moment, he was shocked. He didn't know when he had offended another heaven realm expert. Towards such an expert, he would try his best not to offend him. Yi Shiwen looked up and saw that everyone was present in the valley. However, a middle-aged expert was floating in the void. All the coercion was emanating from his body. It seemed as if he wanted to crush Yi Shiwen to death. Yi Shiwen was not affected much, but Green Conch, who was the weakest behind him, couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. Ngu's terrifying power was acting on her body, directly making her bones creak under the pressure. He immediately expanded his divinity and helped the people behind him block all the divinity. When the Mu clan elder saw that Yi Shiwen actually dared to block his pressure, he was instantly enraged. He felt that Yi Shiwen was simply looking down on him. You are Yi Shiwen? He asked again. That's right. I am. Yi Shiwen's face was cold. He had always been someone who would respect others tenfold. But on the other hand, if someone dared to disrespect him and target him, he wasn't someone to be trifled with. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Vengeance was his true nature. Why? Do you have something to say? Yi Shiwen looked at the Mu clan elder and raised his eyebrows. How dare you speak like this in front of me? The Mu clan elder raged. Why wouldn't I dare to speak like this in front of you? Who do you think you are? Yi Shiwen said unceremoniously. You have guts. I admire you. I have long been annoyed with that old fellow. What is he acting like? Does he really think we have never seen a heaven realm expert? A heaven realm expert is so arrogant. That's right, an old fellow who reached heaven realm after living for a few thousand years. What right does he have to be arrogant? Wait till I reach heaven realm in 2 years. I will beat him to death. This kid is finished. He dares to be arrogant in front of a heaven realm expert. I think he is tired of living. That might not be the case. After all, he just killed a celestial realm expert. Who knows, he might have his own way. Then he must have used some tricks. There is no need to think about it. That must be the case. Otherwise, he would really be heaven-defying. Many people used their thoughts to discuss and started to talk. How dare you? Even your patriarch wouldn't dare to talk to us like this. Do you really think you can be on the same level as me? Do you know what the relationship between a ruler and a subject is? The Mu clan's ancestor shouted angrily. Monarch and minister relationship, old man, what era do you think we are in now? Yi Shiwen sneered and said, in ancient times, the Sun King saved mankind from danger, so he is the Sun King. He has the merit to be conferred the title of king, and he is also worthy of the respect of the people. You can be ranked as the royal family thanks to the Sun King's sacrifice for the human race. But do you think that the Sun King's sacrifice was just to let you, the younger generation, do evil and bully others? Good, well said. It was unknown how many descendants of the Marquis clans and a few loose cultivators were cheering. To the Marquis clans and loose cultivators, the prime minister of the 4 great royal clans was far too arrogant. They enjoyed special privileges everywhere. There were already people who were extremely dissatisfied. It was just like how, Out of the 10 trial worlds, wandering cultivators only occupied one. Although there were many noble clans, there were only 4 out of the 28 noble clans. In contrast, there was only one royal clan. Their privileges were clearly above everyone else. How could they not feel dissatisfied? What was so great about the royal clan? What a sharp tongue. I don't want to waste my breath with you. I heard that you were very arrogant. You actually kidnapped a few young geniuses and even said that you would let the elders of their families come and get them, right? The Mu clan's ancestor calmed down his angry heart and couldn't help but speak. Yes, there is such a thing, but I didn't kidnap. Yishuan hadn't finished his words when the Mu clan ancestor immediately interrupted him and shouted, I am asking you if there is such a thing. Is the person in your hands? Yishuan frowned and said, Yes, the person is in my hands, so what? Very good, it is good that you admit it. Now hurry up and hand over the person, and I will not investigate further. Since you have cultivated for a long time, I only ask the royal clan to suppress you for 1,000 years. The Mu clan ancestor immediately said. Yishuan looked at the Mu clan ancestor with a dumbfounded expression and couldn't help but say, What? I didn't hear you clearly. Did I hear wrong? What do you mean? You want me to hand over the person, and you want to suppress me for 1,000 years? Screw your sister. Being suppressed for 1,000 years was indeed not an eternity for the Mu clan ancestor, who had a lifespan of thousands of years. But for someone like him who had cultivated for a total of 200 years, this was undoubtedly a death sentence. This was 5 times longer than the time that he had experienced since he became conscious. For him, this was almost an indefinite period of time. Moreover, he was now in the most critical period of his progress. Everything was sealed for 1,000 years, and all of his spirit was wiped clean. At that time, he would not have any spirit left, and his entire person would be sealed until he became a fool. And the most important thing was that he originally thought that since he came here on behalf of the Mu clan, then he could talk about the matter of compensation. If he didn't make the Mu clan vomit blood, how could he easily hand over the person? In the end, he didn't even have the chance to open his mouth, and the opposite party actually opened their mouth and wanted to suppress him for 1,000 years. What kind of bullshit reason was this? This was simply a fantasy. What? You look like this. Are you not going to hand over the person? The Mu clan ancestor suddenly said with a serious face. I think you haven't used your brain for a long time, and your IQ has degenerated. Yishuan couldn't help but laugh out of anger. You have to understand that they were the ones who sneak attacked me first. According to the rules, even if I kill them, no one can say anything. What did you say? The Mu clan ancestor couldn't help but get angry. This guy's words were full of daggers, and he was cursing people without using any dirty words. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. Who would dare to say such words to him? After so many years, Yishuan was definitely the first. I think you really don't understand human language. Yishuan sneered and said, You want me to hand over the person? Sure, but you have to come up with a satisfactory price. Otherwise, don't even think about it. Everyone next to him was a little stunned looking at Yishuan, who was arguing with the Mu clan ancestor. What was going on? Was he blackmailing the Mu clan? How audacious. Actually daring to blackmail the royal family. Many people were already in awe of the Mu clan just by hearing the name. Talking to people from the Mu clan already made them tremble in fear. Not to mention that he dared to blackmail the Mu clan. At this time, everyone finally understood what Yishuan meant when he said that he would let the elders come. So that was what he meant. He didn't intend to let them go easily. This time he was in the right, so if he didn't blackmail them, how would he let them go? But the person in front of them wasn't a normal person, but a heaven realm expert. He wasn't some cabbage that could be easily dealt with. The danger naturally didn't need to be mentioned. Because of their identity, they could see a heaven realm expert before, which was why they understood how dangerous that heaven realm expert was. Although Yishuan had killed a heaven realm expert before, but what kind of people were they? Although they didn't see it personally, they could more or less deduce that Yishuan must have made a lot of preparations. It probably wasn't something that could be repeated under normal circumstances. If that wasn't the case, Yishuan wouldn't have waited until the last few days to act. With his swift and decisive personality, he would have acted long ago. To go up against a celestial realm expert at this time wasn't a smart idea. At this time, only the few people from the Yi family and Green Lua weren't worried at all. That was because they knew how Yi Shiwen killed that heaven realm expert. Other people didn't know, but how could they? It was because they knew that they didn't need to worry. Okay, I think you have really fallen to the devil to actually do such a thing. Then, let me capture you. When the time comes, I will let your family head come personally to collect you. A junior actually dares to be so arrogant, daring to open a dye shop just because I gave you some face. The Mu clan old ancestor laughed coldly. As he said that, a huge aura rose from his body. The terrifying aura that belonged to the heaven realm swept out. There wasn't any fake at all. This was the true terrifying power that belonged to the heaven realm. He opened his hand, and a giant hand appeared in the air, about to slide down towards Yi Shiwen. Slap him in the face. Wake him up, Yi Shiwen suddenly said without rhyme or reason. This made those who had been paying attention to Yi Shiwen's situation a little confused. But before they could really react, they saw a small, white hand instantly appear in the air. It came in front of the Mu clan old ancestor like lightning and directly slapped him in the face. Pa! An extremely loud slap spread through the entire valley. Along with this slap, a blood-red handprint instantly appeared on the Mu clan old ancestor's face. The Mu clan old ancestor hadn't reacted yet. He was already dizzy from this slap. He completely didn't know what was going on. Even the others looked at the two of them dumbfoundedly, not knowing what was going on. Chapter 16:23. Everyone was a little dumbfounded. What was going on? Why was the Mu clan's ancestor suddenly slapped? The bloody palm print on the Mu clan ancestor's face wasn't fake. Blood was drawn out from that slap. Oh, right, it seemed like Yi Shiwen said he was going to slap him to wake him up. Everyone seemed to have their circuits working again. They suddenly remembered that it was indeed like that. Yi Shiwen said he was going to teach him a lesson, so he slapped him. Such a thing, if it was before, probably no one would believe it. What a joke. How could a heaven realm expert be taught a lesson so easily? He actually wanted to slap him. The person who suggested such a thing must be crazy. Even if this person had just displayed a miracle, turning the tables in one day, surpassing by Feng in one go, and taking first place. In everyone's eyes, he must have used some trick. This was completely different from fighting a heaven realm expert head-on, but now reality told them that Yi Shiwen did it. And he did it cleanly and cleanly, breaking the Mu clan ancestor's momentum. The Mu clan ancestor still looked like he was knocked out and couldn't react for a while. To be able to make a heaven realm expert like him faint for so long, it could be seen how shocking this matter was to him. He looked at Yi Shiwen in disbelief. How did he do it? Even he didn't see it clearly. But what followed was a monstrous rage. He was a heaven realm expert, yet he was slapped in front of everyone. It was a great humiliation. How is it? Are you awake now? Yi Shiwen asked faintly. How dare you? How dare you attack me? The Mu clan ancestor seemed to have become muddle-headed from anger. I think you're the one who's muddle-headed. Who do you think you are? Yi Shiwen looked at him coldly and said, You attack me without asking first. I want to see how you're going to explain yourself. Do you think there's no one in the Ho clan? Do you think we can be bullied by you? Bai Feng looked at Yi Shiwen's eloquent appearance and couldn't help but faintly smile. This guy was very interesting. He had forced the Mu clan's ancestor into a dead end with just a few words, and had placed himself in the position of the Ho clan spokesperson. In the eyes of the vast majority of loose cultivators, the Marquis clan was already a high and mighty privileged class. However, in reality, they still couldn't compare to the royal clan. There was still a huge gap between them. There were also many conflicts between them, especially between different camps. However, he also understood that the reason why Yi Shiwen was so confident wasn't because of his sharp tongue, but because of his tyrannical strength. If he didn't have tyrannical strength, then he would have already been captured by the Mu clan's ancestor. The Mu clan's ancestor might not dare to kill him directly, but he could still cripple him. Then, the Yi clan would really lose face if the Yi clan came to collect him. What a sharp tongue! The ancestor of the Mu clan was instantly enraged. The Zhen Yuan on his body swept out like a powerful ocean wave. If it was said that he did not care much before, then right now he was already on full alert. A person who could casually slap him, no matter if he was serious or not, was an opponent worthy of caution. This time, he was really angry. A big hand appeared out of thin air. It was much faster than before, and directly rushed towards Yi Shiwen to grab him. "You're still not convinced? Let's fight again," Yi Shiwen said without rhyme or reason. Almost at the same time, a white palm appeared out of thin air and directly fell towards the Mu clan's ancestor. "I've been waiting for you." The Mu clan's ancestor sneered and said, "You dare to sneak attack me? No matter who you are, I won't let you off easily." It turned out that the Mu clan's ancestor's attack on Yi Shiwen was fake. His real intention was to uncover the person behind Yi Shiwen. However, he was also very surprised. Why would such a tyrannical master submit to such a boy? If it were him, it would be impossible for him to submit to a warrior of celestial being realm. Even if the opposite party was like Mu Tianfeng, a young master with boundless future prospects, it would still be impossible for him to submit to him wholeheartedly. And at this time, the other hand of the Mu clan's ancestor, who was hiding behind Yi Shiwen's back, directly moved. A long sword chopped out a fiery light that filled the sky. The raging flame soared into the sky, and it seemed as if it wanted to burn everything in the world into ashes. With an incomparably dreadful power, the long sword directly chopped down towards that white palm. Shua! The Mu clan's ancestor's sword light was fast and ruthless. It almost instantly chopped down on that white palm. His face exposed a somewhat evil grin. It seemed as if he could see the miserable state of the opposite person when his hand was chopped off. "Humph! Daring to hit my face, I will make you pay with your life." However, what he didn't expect was that after his sword light directly chopped through the sky, it directly passed through this white palm. It seemed as if it was an illusion. It was fake. It couldn't cause any fundamental threat to this big hand. Not good. The Mu clan's ancestor immediately reacted. He was a battle-hardened man. He almost immediately guessed the reason. It wasn't fake, nor was it an illusion. It was just that its speed was too fast. Sure enough, he had just figured it out when that white palm in the void disappeared on the spot. And when it reappeared, it had already appeared in front of him. Although he had already guessed it, his speed wasn't fast enough. He couldn't evade it at all. He could only watch helplessly as this white palm once again slapped towards him. "Don't even think about it," the Mu clan's ancestor angrily roared. If the slap just now could be said to be an accident, then if he were to be slapped again, then he would truly lose all face. Even if he jumped into the yellow river, he wouldn't be able to wash himself clean. The pure energy on his body began to rumble. Like a powerful ocean wave, it began to roll out in circles. But it was useless. All the pure energy in his body became a joke in front of this white palm. After one slap, all of it shattered into pieces and turned into nothingness. It couldn't stop this white palm from getting closer and closer to his face. Slap! Another loud slap was heard. That white hand once again slapped the Mu clan's ancestor's face harshly. Everyone could only hear the sound. They could barely catch a glimpse of the movement. The movement was fast to the extreme. Fast, fast, fast. By the time they realized what was happening, they realized that it was already over. Another slap appeared on the Mu clan's ancestor's face. There was one on each cheek, and it was very well proportioned. But at this moment, everyone felt like laughing. It was just too comical. A Heaven Realm expert was slapped twice in a row. This was probably the first time in history. Moreover, no one knew who did it. Anyway, it definitely wasn't Yi Shiwen. But at this moment, everyone was confused. Did Yi Shiwen have a Heaven Realm expert by his side? If that was the case, then everything could be explained. Why did Yi Shiwen have the ability to slaughter a Heaven Realm expert? It was because he was following a Heaven Realm expert, so it was naturally different. But more people started to be confused. Where did this Heaven Realm expert come from? Because according to the rules, families were definitely not allowed to send Heaven Realm experts to the demon world. If that was the case, it would immediately attract the attention of the higher-ups of the demon world. If that was the case, then those who entered the demon world wouldn't even have the first few months of free time. A Heaven Realm expert entering the demon world would quickly attract the attention of the higher-ups of the demon world. That was without a doubt. So, how did he bring him in? How is it? Are you awake now? Yi Xuan asked. His tone was calm, as if he was asking a cat or dog. Slapping him in the face wasn't enough. He had to add more salt. Good, good. You actually dared to go against the rules and let your Yi family celestial realm experts follow in. This is a death sentence. A death sentence. Everyone here might die because of your actions. I even suspect that so many people died because of you. The Mu clan ancestor roared in rage. He was slapped again, but the two of them couldn't see that his attack was completely useless. The first time was because he was careless, the second time was because he was prepared, but it was still useless. He was slapped again. At this time, the only thing he could think about was this. Instead, he became excited. He had caught Yi Xuan's weakness. As for the deaths of the others, it had nothing to do with him. He just wanted Yi Xuan to die. He had wanted to teach Yi Xuan a good lesson in the beginning and establish the prestige of the Mu clan. However, his anger had already soared to the sky by now. So, he didn't care about what his original purpose was. I say, are you retarded or have you been beaten into a retard? Who told you that I brought a Heaven Realm Elder in? Yi Xuan laughed coldly in disdain. Which eye of yours saw that? If I really brought someone in, wouldn't the people from the royal court sense it? Are they all blind? Everyone thought about it. That was true. If someone really was brought in, would the royal court just sit there and do nothing? This kind of action was a dangerous move that would kill everyone. No matter how thick the royal court was, they wouldn't let such a thing happen. So, what was going on? Then, let me capture you and see whether or not you brought anyone in. The Mu clan ancestor, who was furious to the extreme, shouted and exploded. Chapter 16:24. You still want to cause trouble? Yi Xuan instantly frowned, and his heart was filled with rage. Shua! The Mu clan's ancestor moved instantly. He tore open the space and appeared behind Yi Xuan in an instant. A wave of fire laws condensed into a long sword in the void, and with lightning speed, it pierced towards Yi Xuan's head. I think you don't learn from your mistakes. At this moment, a cold voice came from the void, and immediately after, a big palm came down from the sky. Pa! This time, Yu Lian attacked with anger. She didn't stop like before, but slammed down ruthlessly. Pa! With a sound, the Mu clan's ancestor's skull seemed like it was going to crack, and he flew out on the spot. Everyone was a little dumbfounded as they watched the Mu clan's ancestor fly out like a ball. They couldn't believe it at all. What was going on? How could a celestial realm expert be so weak? Everyone immediately reacted. A celestial realm expert definitely couldn't be so weak. Then there was only one result, and that was that the person who attacked was much stronger than the Mu clan's ancestor. That was why he was able to beat the Mu clan's ancestor up so miserably without even showing his face. If you still don't wake up, I can make you wake up even more, Yi Xuan said coldly. He looked coldly at the Mu clan's ancestor who was sent flying, then glanced at everyone and said, Anyway, he is in my hands now. If everyone wants to take him back, then let your elders come and take him back. After speaking, Yi Xuan didn't care about the Mu clan's ancestor who was still dizzy from the slap and directly stepped into the crack that led to the ancient space. His figure slowly disappeared, and the people of the Yi clan, Qing Luo, and even Yi Luan hurriedly followed. The rest of the people all looked at each other in disbelief. They couldn't believe that the situation had turned out like this. The Mu clan's ancestor came aggressively to find trouble with Yi Xuan, but in the end, he was beaten up by Yi Xuan. This was completely out of their expectations. The result was completely different from what they had expected. Yi Xuan hadn't even made a move himself, but he had relied on the mysterious man to ruthlessly tidy up the Mu clan's ancestor, especially Mu Tianfeng. His face was ashen. The Mu clan's patriarch had been beaten up so badly. It could be said that the Mu clan's prestige had suffered a huge blow. Yet, He could only watch. There was no other way. Yi Shiwen alone was terrifyingly strong. He could feel the looming aura hidden in his body. What he was really afraid of wasn't Yi Shiwen, but the mysterious celestial realm expert who could beat up his old ancestor like a dead dog. This was the root cause of his fear. But at this time, he couldn't do anything. Luckily, Yi Shiwen didn't attack him. At this moment, he understood how Yi Shiwen felt before. A heaven realm expert could suddenly attack and threaten him. How terrifying was that? For the first time, he felt that his life was in danger. This time, the royal court struggle had finally come to an end under everyone's eyes. However, the result was out of everyone's expectations. Out of the hundreds of elites from the various families, only 40 or so people survived. Losing more than half of them, this loss could not be said to be small. However, it wasn't like they didn't gain anything from this event. The cultivation of the geniuses of the various families had a huge increase. Although they still couldn't be compared to the top seniors, it could be said that they had completely matured now. It wasn't appropriate to use the term younger generation to describe them anymore. What was even more shocking was that within the younger generation, there were a few people who quickly rose up. There was no need to talk about Fa Wushuang. He had a long history of fame and had long since challenged the top experts of the younger generation. He had grown up bit by bit, and everyone had long since made preparations. However, Yi Shiwen, Yi Qianqian, and Yi Shukong were completely out of the blue. Especially Yi Shiwen. He managed to turn the tables in one fell swoop and successfully seized the first place in one fell swoop. All of a sudden, he crushed all the outstanding heroes and won the championship, shocking the world. And the most important thing was that he wasn't in the lead all the way. If he had been in the lead all the way, then it wouldn't have mattered. However, Yi Shiwen had turned the tables at the last moment. This made his victory even more legendary. This was the first time the battle for the top 100 was carried out in such a way, so there wasn't anyone to use as a reference. But no matter what, he killed a Heaven Realm expert at the last moment and became the champion. This would become a huge legend. Everyone was discussing this matter passionately. This is fake, right? Forget about that Fa Wushuang. This Yi Shiwen is even more overpowered. He actually killed a Heaven Realm expert. God, no matter how I look at it, it's fake. Heaven Realm expert, I didn't even dare to think that someone could really kill a Heaven Realm expert. If that wasn't the case, he wouldn't have been able to turn the tables. But the key is that with his strength, he definitely isn't a match for a Heaven Realm expert. How did he do it? I heard that he had a Heaven Realm expert by his side, which was why he was able to succeed. But didn't they say that Heaven Realm experts weren't allowed to follow? What is going on now? Everyone was in an uproar and started to discuss this matter, especially the matter of Yi Shiwen killing a Heaven Realm expert. That was the focus of everyone's discussion. Like the Mu clan old ancestor, many people suspected whether or not Yi Shiwen had brought a Heaven Realm expert over. But very quickly, the royal dynasty came out to clarify that it was impossible. Before they entered, there would be experts watching from the side. It was impossible for someone to sneak in. Their suspicion meant that they were suspecting the royal dynasty. Everyone quickly thought through it. This didn't seem possible. If it wasn't through the royal dynasty, although they had other ways to enter the demon world, sending a Heaven Realm expert just for Yi Shiwen wasn't worth it no matter how they looked at it. A celestial realm expert was like a stabilizing force in any force. Losing one would hurt the strength of the force. Sending a celestial realm expert to the demon world for Yi Shiwen was a stupid move no matter how one looked at it. It shouldn't be possible. As for why Yi Shiwen had a Heaven Realm expert following him after entering the demon world, that became a mystery that everyone was confused about. But just as everyone was discussing how Yi Shiwen killed a celestial realm expert and ended up at the top of the rankings, another matter exploded out. That was Wuji Star Palace, Thunder Clan, Sun King race, and even the Yi family. There were people captured by Yi Shiwen. And as this rumor spread, the inside story and details of this matter became widely known. After knowing the truth, everyone burst into an uproar at once. Even at the critical moment of the demon invasion, this matter still became the core focus of everyone's discussion. Four geniuses that everyone knew worked together But in the end, they were all defeated by Yi Shiwen. Moreover, it was 1 against 4. They weren't Yi Shiwen's match at all. In this battle, Yi Shiwen completely suppressed them. There were no signs of the Heaven Realm expert behind him interfering. This also caused many people's criticisms of Yi Shiwen to disappear. Originally, many people said that Yi Shiwen was arrogant because he had a Heaven Realm expert following him. That was why he could become the top of the rankings. His own strength wasn't enough for him to become the top. But as this matter was exposed, Yi Shiwen's strength started to be deeply rooted in everyone's hearts. To be able to win 1 against 4 and completely suppress them, this made many people feel that Yi Shiwen's combat strength was enough to be on the same level as the 4 giants. He was one of the 6 giants of the younger generation. This included Fa Wushuang. Many people felt that Fa Wushuang should have similar combat strength. Then, Yi Shiwen's words spread to the entire upper echelons of the human race. If you want to bring the 4 of them back, it's very simple. Just let your elders come and get them. No one had expected that Yi Shiwen would actually say such a thing. One must know that the people who had been captured by him weren't ordinary people, but the top geniuses of the major forces. Even Yi Kuang of the Yi family had been the #1 genius of the Yi family before Yi Shiwen had risen to prominence. But now, he had unexpectedly fallen to this point. It was like a fight between 2 children. Now, they had to call their parents. Facing such an arrogant attitude from Yi Shiwen, the Limitless Star Palace, the Thunder Clan, and the Sun Clan's royal clan had sent out a message of extreme anger. They wanted the Yi family to give an explanation. Needless to say, Yi Zhenmo was burning with anger. He had spent a lot of effort to nurture Yi Kuang, but he had been caught by someone else. It was an extraordinary shame and humiliation. Let's not talk about how the Yi family would appease Yi Zhenmo. The Yi family had also insisted on being strong as usual. These marquis and royal clans had been unreasonable at first, but they had still been reasonable. Moreover, Yi Shiwen was on the side of reason this time. It was the 4 of them who had disregarded the overall situation. They had joined hands to deal with Yi Shiwen. However, they had obviously kicked an iron plate. Yi Shiwen was more tyrannical than them. Therefore, no one felt that the 4 of them were pitiful. Yi Shiwen hadn't killed them under such circumstances. It could be said that he had taken the overall situation into consideration. It was good enough that the Yi family hadn't asked them for an explanation at this time. But they still wanted to join hands to launch an attack. Their Yi family wasn't to be trifled with. It was impossible for a war to break out between the various races under the premise of the devil race's invasion. However, they wouldn't give in to each other in a war of words. However, Yi Shiwen, who had stirred up such a big trouble, was hiding in his #1 secret realm at this time. Chapter 16:25. Now, Yi Shiwen was the only one left in the entire #1 secret realm. He did not recruit any followers in the first place. Moreover, Elder Yi had already left, so he was the only one left in the entire huge #1 secret realm. It was not that no one was willing to be his follower. In fact, as his cultivation got higher and higher, his reputation in the Yi family became more and more prominent, and he was no longer in the initial state of obscurity. As long as he shouted, there would be thousands of pursuers, but this was meaningless to him. He was not very interested in this kind of thing. He had never done things like establishing his own force, because he really did not have time to manage his own force. It was better to use the time for closed-door training. In front of him, there was a sacred egg wrapped in the endless power of wind and water. It was the egg of Kunpeng. He had now completely subdued the egg of Kunpeng, but he did not have the resources to hatch this egg. Think about what resources the previous Kunpeng used. 99 dragon veins, so many dragon veins. Perhaps even the Yi family could not come up with so many dragon veins, especially for the use of Kunpeng. According to Yi Shiwen's guess, Kunpeng, who was born under such circumstances, was likely to be born in the celestial being realm, or even higher. Yi Shiwen naturally did not have so many resources, unless he could seize the Demon King's treasure house. Otherwise, there was no chance at all. Even the Demon King's treasure house might not have 99 dragon veins. Even if the wealth in it was far more than 99 dragon veins, it would be difficult to collect them. Yi Shiwen was very clear about this, very clear. But it was impossible for him to give up on Kuan Peng. So the only way was to lower the hatching standard. Although Kuan Peng's strength might be far less than expected after it was born, there would always be a way to grow bit by bit. In other words, congenital deficiencies could be made up for with nurture. This was also the only way he could think of. Young master is really amazing. You even have Kuan Peng's egg. Even in ancient times, Kuan Peng's egg has never been obtained by others. Yu Lian appeared next to Yi Shiwen. She couldn't help but sigh when she saw Yi Shiwen carrying the Kuan Peng's egg. Yi Shiwen didn't reply. Although there were terrifying existences in ancient times, and even gods existed, but the Kuan Peng of that time was far more terrifying than the present one. It was said that it could even devour the gods. In the era of the demon race's heavenly court, it had even become the demon master, the master of 10,000 demons, who dared to touch the egg of the rock. Wasn't that courting death? What's the point of having a Kuan Peng egg? If it can't be hatched, it's just a piece of trash. Yi Shiwen sighed. He himself was already a bottomless pit that was consuming resources. Moreover, Kuan Peng was also a pit within a pit. However, if one wanted to become a peerless expert, they would need to consume so many resources. However, someone will soon send me the things, Yi Shiwen said with a smile. Someone? Who is it? Yu Lian didn't know how to react. There was actually someone who personally came to the door? It had to be known that the amount of resources the Kuan Peng required was an astronomical figure. Who would be so foolish as to deliver themselves to him? Yi Shiwen, get out here! An extremely loud roar came from the void, followed by a tyrannical aura instantly crushing down. In just an instant, all the formations of the human number 1 secret realm completely collapsed at once. See, I told you someone is sending us resources, Yi Shiwen said with a smile. Yu Lian shielded Yi Shiwen as soon as this aura came crashing down on him. Boom! With a bang, all the formations of the entire human number 1 secret realm were completely destroyed. Although the formations of the human number 1 secret realm were said to be able to block the surprise attack of a celestial realm expert, in front of a celestial realm expert, all of this was still too weak. That's right, the person in front of him was a celestial realm expert. A top expert that Yi Shiwen had seen before, Yi Zhenmo. And this time, it wasn't a spirit incarnation that descended, but a real body that descended. For an expert like him, who guarded the gates of the demon-suppressing city all year round and never stepped out, it was clear just how depressed and furious he was that he had personally come knocking on the door. Yi Zhenmo looked at Yi Shiwen with a livid face, his eyes extremely cold, and said, "Let Yi Kuang go, then seal your cultivation and come with me to accept your punishment. Otherwise, even if the patriarch punishes you, I will not let you go. I think you're also stupid." Yi Shiwen glanced at Yi Zhenmo and said, "This matter now, Yi Kuang wants to join forces with outsiders to kill me. This crime, even if I kill him on the spot, so what? Now you dare to clamor in front of me. I think you are very bored. Presumptuous." Yi Zhenmo didn't care about the reason. He only remembered one thing. His disciple was kidnapped by Yi Shiwen. "Are you going to hand him over or not?" Yi Zhenmo asked coldly. "If you want me to hand him over, I can. 2 dragon veins, no bargaining," Yi Shiwen indifferently said. Yi Zhenmo suddenly wanted to vomit blood. All right, 2 dragon veins. 1 dragon vein was enough to support the rise of a large loose cultivator sect. In the Yi family, even a colossus like the law enforcement hall did not have many dragon veins. Yi Shiwen was also very helpless. Damn it, he had never used such an extravagant degree of cultivation. But if Kuan Peng didn't have such abnormal requirements, how could it be considered as one of the top 10 ancient ominous beasts? In ancient times, many people would tremble just by hearing the name of Kuan Peng. In ancient times, it was unknown how many people had died in the mouth of Kuan Peng. Moreover, it was simply impossible for these 2 dragon veins to hatch into Kuan Peng. "I think you won't shed tears until you see the coffin." Yi Zhenmo suddenly became furious. A big hand appeared in the sky and fell towards Yi Shiwen's direction. It was fast and urgent. It was unknown how many times more tyrannical it was compared to the Mu clan's ancestor. Yijin Mo was also one of the top masters in the Yi clan, so naturally, he had extraordinary strength. But before he could catch Yi Shiwen, a sword condensed by the Hades royal water appeared in the sky and directly slashed down. The sword light flashed in the sky. Bang! Yijin Mo's big hand was cut off on the spot. Who are you? Yijin Mo finally noticed the woman beside Yi Shiwen, who had an understated look on her face. Demon. Although Yu Lian's aura was hidden very well, how could she hide from Yijin Mo, who had been fighting with demons all year round? In other words, Yu Lian didn't intend to hide at all, because it was not necessary at all. Yijin Mo's eyes flashed a bit of hostility. In the Yi clan, his attitude towards demons was the most radical. His eyes were full of killing intent when he looked at Yi Shiwen. He still remembered Yi Junshin's matter until now. In his eyes, Yi Shiwen was simply a remnant of the demon clan, and now he even brought back a demon master. His heart should be punished. No, he soon discovered that Yu Lian was not an ordinary demon, but a tool spirit. He could still distinguish this point clearly. But in any case, Yi Shiwen, a guy who was originally a very serious suspect, still carried traces of the demon clan. Well, you actually colluded with the demon clan. He looked at Yi Shiwen coldly and said, When did I collude with the demon clan? Is this considered collusion? If this is the case, wouldn't your demon-suppressing city lineage have been wiped out long ago? Yi Shiwen said faintly. One should know that many of the martial arts, instruments, and so on of the demon-suppressing city lineage had a deep relationship with the demon clan. Sometimes, even in order to deal with the demon clan, some people of the demon-suppressing city lineage practiced the demon clan's martial arts. These things were well known by the Yi clan's higher-ups, and they also acquiesced. After all, it was not important what martial arts one practiced. What really mattered was which side one's heart was on. Yijin Mo coldly looked at Yi Shiwen and Yu Lian. He had been flustered and exasperated a moment ago. But now, he had a kind of ice-cold and ruthless aura. It was an aura that had been honed for a long time in the front line against the demon clan. You don't need to look at me. I will naturally follow the young master's words since I'm following him. The demon clan has nothing to do with me. Yu Lian waved her hand and said, These tool spirits weren't human, but they weren't demons either. She was just following Yi Shiwen. If Yi Shiwen wanted to poke the sky, then she would also follow him. Moreover, you don't need to think about attacking again. Your martial power is profound, but it's nothing compared to mine. Yu Lian said faintly. Her words were unusually confident. Yijin Mo had at most thousands of years of cultivation and martial power. She didn't know whether it was hundreds of thousands of years or millions of years. Tool spirits' cultivation had always been slow, especially before they had fully cultivated their spiritual wisdom. They needed a long time to cultivate. But this also gave them unparalleled, profound martial power. Whether it was the human clan, the demon clan, or even the long-lived clan like the dragon clan, there was no way to compete with tool spirits in this aspect. In the case of the same realm, usually tool spirits often had profound martial power several times that of ordinary people. Unless one had an abnormal combat power like Yi Shiwen, ordinary people would have a headache when they encountered tool spirits of the same realm. Yijin Mo was also very clear about what tool spirits meant, especially tool spirits that were similar to his realm. Unless he had already entered the peak of the celestial realm, otherwise he wouldn't be able to suppress Yu Lian. Then it would be difficult to forcefully attack. Thinking of this, his face suddenly became gloomy. Chapter 16:26. Originally, he didn't think too much about it. He just wanted to rely on his tyrannical strength to take down Yi Shiwen. This was because Yi Jintian wasn't in the Yi family. Instead, he was in the imperial court. He was following the lord of the Yi family on an expedition. He thought that he would definitely win, but who knew that there would be such a huge mistake? Yi Shiwen actually had such an expert by his side. At this moment, he finally recalled that Yi Shiwen had actually killed a Heaven Realm expert when no one expected it. He had completely turned the tables and successfully became the champion. After that, many people suspected that he had brought some celestial realm experts to the demon world. However, the higher-ups of the royal court came out to clarify, and this matter was barely suppressed. However, many people still had doubts in their hearts. This included Yi Zhanmo. If he wasn't ordinary, then he really couldn't imagine how Yi Shiwen had done it. However, all his problems had been easily solved now that he had seen Yu Lian. It seemed that she was Yi Shiwen's helper. Yi Shiwen had been able to reach the top of the rankings in one fell swoop because of this woman's help. What a huge move! A celestial realm expert. Any heaven realm expert would have their own trump cards. In theory, they would be hard to kill. Even if their level was higher, it would be hard to kill them. Just like before, although Yu Lian was much stronger than that demon race youth, she still couldn't stop him. Even if a heaven realm expert couldn't beat him, it would be hard for him to be killed. Especially when Yu Lian was the same as him, late-stage heaven realm cultivation. Just a little bit more, and she would be able to step into peak heaven realm. At that time, she would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the family head. He couldn't help but feel a little depressed. If he had the demon-suppressing mirror in his hand, even if the opponent was an antique like Yu Lian who had lived for God knows how long, he had the confidence to fight. That was because the demon-suppressing mirror had a really strong suppressive effect on the demon race. Unfortunately, ever since the whereabouts of the demon-suppressing mirror went missing, his fighting strength could be said to have been greatly reduced. At this time, if he were to face Yu Lian again, he would not have much confidence. He looked at the two of them with a gloomy expression. However, if he couldn't bring Yi Kuang back today, he would undoubtedly lose face. He was the city lord of the demon-suppressing city, but he couldn't do anything to a junior at this moment. It would be a huge joke if people knew about this. Hurry up and decide. I don't have so much time to talk nonsense with you. This is because you are also a member of my Yi family. If anyone else wants to take it away, they won't be able to do so without at least 5 dragon veins. Yi Shiwen said loudly. Yi Zhanmo had attacked him several times. However, in the end, he was still a member of the Yi clan. Moreover, he had fought against the devils for many years. So, he didn't want to be too ruthless. For some reason, when Yi Zhanmo heard Yi Shiwen say that if it was someone else, they would need at least 5 dragon veins, he suddenly felt a lot better in his heart. I'm definitely not the only unlucky one. At the same time, there are 3 other clans that have provoked this kid. With 3 clans at the bottom, no matter how miserable the demon-suppressing city faction was, it wouldn't be that miserable. 2 dragon veins was only about half of the others. This was also because there was no comparison. Previously, Yi Zhanmo felt that Yi Shiwen was simply asking for an exorbitant price. 2 dragon veins, he might as well rob them. This dragon vein could let a loose cultivator sect develop and prosper, and it could even prosper for many years. However, now that he thought that others would have to pay the price of 5 dragon veins, he immediately felt much better. Damn it, there was still a need for comparison. With comparison, he would feel that he was still very happy. Of course, he still didn't realize these things in his heart, but in fact, he had already started to think so. The most important reason was that he didn't have the slightest confidence that he could defeat the woman in front of him. The oppressive feeling that this woman gave him was too strong. Especially her cultivation, it was simply too thick. If his cultivation was like the Yangtze River or the Yellow River, then the cultivation of this woman in front of him was simply like the endless sea. Although profound martial power might not be able to transform into the strongest combat power, it was always a fundamental factor. Do you want or not? Quickly decide. If you don't want 2 dragon veins, then forget it. That Yi Kuang can only be imprisoned forever and finally repent for his crimes. Yi Shiwen continued. After thinking for a long time, although Yi Zhanmo really wanted to fight with Yu Lian, he still wasn't confident. Moreover, the most fundamental reason was that he was in the wrong. Yi Kuang and the other 3 joined forces to encircle Yi Shiwen. If they succeeded, then it would be fine, but they still failed. All right, I will bring you 2 dragon veins. Yimo finally chose to compromise. He couldn't control Yi Shiwen in any aspect, so he could only bitterly give up. But in his heart, he was extremely afraid. Not long ago, Yi Shiwen was just an existence that he could completely crush with just a little bit of force. Now, even he couldn't control Yi Shiwen. Although Yi Tian couldn't compete with him now, as long as this tool spirit was here, he couldn't do anything to Yi Shiwen. It was even more troublesome than ordinary experts. For example, although Yi Tian also protected Yi Shiwen, there was no way he could always follow Yi Shiwen. However, this tool spirit was different. He could completely follow Yi Shiwen, so it was very difficult for him to find an opportunity to deal with Yi Shiwen. "You wait for me." In the end, Yi Mo could only glare at Yi Shiwen fiercely. Fortunately, this was not the worst outcome. If Yi Kuang were to die in Yi Shiwen's hands, then he would really have no place to cry. The demon-suppressing city had spent hundreds of years to cultivate Yi Kuang, and if he were to lose him, then the loss would be too great. Looking at Yi Mo's figure finally leaving, Yi Shiwen smiled and said to Yu Lian, "Look, didn't someone send it here?" Yu Lian finally understood what Yi Shiwen meant. It turned out to be this. "It's too unrealistic for me to hatch the Kuan Ping egg by myself. I myself need an endless supply of spirit crystals. So, bringing along a Kuan Ping egg would be a bit of a burden for me," Yi Shiwen said. Now, this Kuan Ping egg had given him a dilemma. If he didn't have this opportunity, he didn't know when he would be able to hatch the Kuan Ping egg. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He would never let go of this opportunity to extort money easily. Sure enough, Yi Mo quickly sent 2 dragon veins over. With the nourishment of 2 dragon veins, the Kuan Ping egg was much more charming than before. It could be forcefully hatched with 2 dragon veins. However, Yi Shiwen didn't force it because he knew very well that if he forcefully hatched the Kuan Ping egg, not only would the Kuan Peng be innately deficient, but there would also be no way to make up for it. He was still waiting for the other clans to send over the dragon veins. Yi Shiwen's offer to them was much more ruthless than to Yi Mo. 5 dragon veins, no bargaining. Suddenly, the clans who knew about this were so angry that they almost vomited blood. The price of 1 dragon's vein could already be said to be priceless, let alone 5. F***CK. If you're like this, why don't you just go rob someone? Of course, the other clans wouldn't agree. They even clamored and accused Yi Shiwen of not knowing how to unite. Under the background of the demon race's invasion, he actually wanted to extort money from his own people. However, Yi Shiwen looked like he wasn't anxious at all. Anyway, there was no harm in suppressing them for hundreds or thousands of years. Anyway, it was impossible for these people to rush into the Yi clan to snatch their people. After all, the Yi clan was a marquee clan, and the background was not a joke. How could they let others casually break in and take away their proudest disciple? That would really be a great shame. Even Yi Mo wouldn't allow this. He had already handed over 2 dragon veins. How could he be satisfied if the other clans didn't cough up some blood? As for what those clans said about unity and so on, anyone who knew a little bit of inside information would look at it with disdain. After all, they were the ones who first joined hands to besiege Yi Shiwen. At that time, they didn't care about unity at all. Wasn't it a bit too late to talk about unity now? However, everyone was still very surprised by Yi Shiwen's conditions. 5 dragon veins. What kind of sky-high price was that? He really dared to shout it out. However, those clans didn't dare to say that their geniuses weren't worth this price. If they really said so, how could those geniuses bear it? From a calm point of view, 5 dragon veins were enough to support the prosperity of a large sect for many years. It was much more important than a genius. However, this was what they said, but they absolutely couldn't say it out loud. However, Yi Shiwen was still stubborn. There was no way to communicate at all. He only said one sentence, either hand over the dragon veins or get lost. Anyway, he had people in his hands. There was no harm in suppressing them for hundreds or thousands of years before letting them out. When those clans heard this, they were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood. If it was hundreds or thousands of years, they would have been completely crippled. Not to mention their peers, even their juniors would have surpassed them by a lot. So, what was the use of letting them out later? However, Yi Shiwen's words were useless. He didn't listen to anything. He only wanted one explanation, and that was the dragon veins. His greedy face was undoubtedly revealed. Moreover, it was an exorbitant demand. After a whole month, Limitless Star Palace was the first to be unable to hold on. In the end, they sent an elder to returning to Songhai with 5 dragon veins. After Limitless Star Palace, the Thunder Clan finally couldn't withstand the pressure from both inside and outside. They also sent an elder to bring Lei Jinghua back with 5 dragon veins. At this time, everyone's eyes turned to the Mu clan. Chapter 1627. In terms of strength, Mu clan was indeed much more tyrannical than Thunder Clan and Limitless Star Palace. It could even be said that Thunder Clan and Limitless Star Palace might not be Mu clan's opponent even if they joined forces. Therefore, in the face of Yi Shiwen's obvious extortion, they were also the toughest group of people. They did not intend to compromise with Yi Shiwen at all, and were very tough to Yi Shiwen to let them go. However, Yi Shiwen, who had made up his mind to extort a large sum of money, would not easily give in. Therefore, he did not care about anything at all. In the end, there was only one sentence, and that was if they wanted money, they wanted 5 dragon veins. It was a matter of whether they would give it or not. Yi Shiwen originally wanted to continue to add, but he thought that it might completely enrage Thunder Clan, so he did not do this. But even so, 5 dragon veins was also an astronomical wealth. Thunder Clan and Limitless Star Palace were at most similar to Yi Clan in strength, and they were unreasonable. Moreover, they encountered Yi Shiwen's stubborn character, so they could only helplessly agree in the end. However, Mu Clan was different. They were the Sun Royal Clan, a royal clan created by the first human king in modern times. Naturally, they had their own pride. How could they agree to Yi Shiwen's extortion conditions? However, Yi Shiwen was not anxious at all. He waited little by little. After a stalemate of more than half a year, all kinds of rumors spread, saying that Mu Clan did not care about Mu Tianying's life and death at all. They were so heartless that they did not deserve to be a royal clan. In the end, the Mu Clan had no choice but to send an elder to negotiate with Yi Shiwen while gnashing his teeth. This elder wanted to show his strength to Yi Shiwen. However, who would have thought that he would be taught a lesson by Yu Lian instead? They finally understood that Yi Shiwen had a formidable expert by his side. So, they couldn't easily teach him a lesson. In the end, they could only helplessly choose to hand over 5 dragon veins in exchange for Mu Tianying. After hearing this news, it was said that even Yi Jinmo's mood was a lot better. Although he lost 2 dragon veins, it was not as good as his. How could he not be happy when he saw that the other forces' losses were worse than his? This was also a rare method of spiritual victory. With these 15 dragon veins in addition to the 2 dragon veins that Yi Jinmo had exchanged, Yi Shiwen suddenly became rich overnight. 17 dragon veins. What did this mean? It meant that even if Yi Shiwen went out to establish a school, he would be able to establish a terrifying force that was second only to Ho Clan. Moreover, relying on the luck brought by the dragon veins, his school would be able to continue for thousands of years. Yi Shiwen even suspected that he might be ambushed if he walked outside. Although many people knew that Yi Shiwen had a master by his side, the temptation of 17 dragon veins was enough to make many people take the risk out of desperation, especially those old monsters who were in closed-door training in the deep mountains and old forests. Ordinary people did not dare to have any ideas on Yi Shiwen. The news that he had a Heaven Realm Master by his side was leaked out bit by bit, although no one knew the specific situation of Yu Lian. However, for ordinary people, the words Heaven Realm was enough to shock them. For these old monsters, it was far from enough because they themselves were Heaven Realm Masters. They were already on the path of immortality. The value of 1 dragon vein could allow them to go further, let alone 17 dragon veins. The value was no different from robbing a dozen individual cultivation sections. Facing these covetous gazes, Yi Shiwen was even more ruthless. After directly rebuilding the formation of the number 1 secret realm, he directly buried 9 of the 17 dragon veins in the number 1 secret realm on the spot, directly arranging a 9 dragons origin formation. The 9 dragon veins condensed into the center of a spiritual vein and directly placed the Kuan Peng egg on it. This was the biggest price Yi Shiwen could pay so far. If it was less than 9 dragon veins, even if the Kuan Peng hatched, it would ultimately affect his innate aptitude and even affect his acquired achievements. For the more tyrannical the race, the more important innate aptitude was. Innate aptitude and bloodline would affect their fundamental strength. Some tyrannical innate races could be born as Heaven Realm Masters. Their starting point was high, so their future achievements would be high. Although 9 dragon veins were not as heaven-defying as 99 dragon veins, it was enough for the Kuan Peng to be born normally. However, the condition was that all 9 dragon veins had to be consumed in one go. If it was 99 dragon veins, then it would not be absorbed in one go. At most, a part of it would be absorbed, and then after a certain period of time, these 99 dragon veins would slowly recover. From this point of view, dragon veins were like ordinary creatures. They had their own process of birth, growth, and finally death. As long as the dragon veins did not die naturally or were severely injured, they could recover little by little. Ordinary people would not be willing to absorb all the dragon veins in one go. That would be too much of a waste. However, Yi Shiwen could not care so much at this time. In order to hatch the Kuan Peng, he could only take a risk. Anyway, too many resources have been wasted on him, so it was not a big deal to lose a little more. Among the remaining 8 dragon veins, one of them was directly buried in Tianyuan Mirror for Yi Mo to absorb. It could greatly accelerate Yi Mo's awakening. Another one was also given to Yu Lian to cultivate. With the assistance of a dragon vein in cultivation, it would no longer be a dream for Yu Lian to step into the heaven realm. Among the remaining 6 dragon veins, one of them was used by Yi Shiwen to feed the Mingxin ancient tree. The previous small dragon vein had almost been absorbed. That small dragon vein was not fully developed yet. It was not even 1% of the size of the dragon vein in Yi Shiwen's hand now. Now, Yi Shiwen used a complete dragon vein to feed the Mingxin ancient tree. For now, it was definitely more than enough. Then he arranged the remaining 5 dragon veins into the 5 chi sec formation for him to practice day and night. If this was known by outsiders, it was unknown how many people would vomit blood. Many people worked hard just to obtain a small part of a dragon vein. But when it came to Yi Shiwen, it was simply great. Everyone who saw it had a share. With these dragon veins guarding Yi Shiwen's luck was simply monstrous. What kind of paradise could be compared with Yi Shiwen's place? There was the 9 dragons imperial formation and the 5 chi imperial formation. It was simply invincible. If ordinary people cultivated here for a period of time, not only would their cultivation advance by leaps and bounds, but most importantly, they would also be contaminated with dragon chi. From then on, their luck would be extraordinary and they would have a meteoric rise. After extorting a few clans, Yi Shiwen didn't go out at all. This made many people who wanted to sneak attack him feel very depressed. Not everyone had the identity and convenience of Yi Mo, who could easily enter the number 1 secret territory. If there were foreign enemies who wanted to invade the number 1 secret realm, it was equivalent to courting death. After obtaining these dragon veins, Yi Shiwen was like an otaku, completely guarding the number 1 secret realm. He did not take a single step out, and began to constantly mobilize the power of the dragon veins, hatching the Kuan Peng. This was also Yi Shiwen's first time enjoying the benefits of the paradise. Compared to his current cultivation speed, the past was simply rubbish. In the past, the spiritual energy in the number 1 secret realm was still considered rich, but compared to the many dragon veins that Yi Shiwen had buried, it was simply rubbish. Moreover, the spiritual energy was completely locked inside by Yi Shiwen's 9 Serenities Emperor formation. Not a single trace of it would leak out. All of them were used by him. Only now did he understand why there were so many sayings on the path of cultivation, such as earth, companion, dharma, and wealth. If he had cultivated in such an environment from the beginning, it would not have taken long for his cultivation to catch up with his current self. But of course, a flower raised in a greenhouse could not be compared to a person who had experienced many battles. No wonder those geniuses' cultivation speed was faster than the other. In just a few years, they could complete the journey that ordinary people could not complete in decades or even centuries. It was completely using resources to exchange for time. This was not something that ordinary big families could do. Even in the Marquis clan, there were only a few who could enjoy such treatment. Hence, there were only a few top geniuses. Time passed slowly. 10 years had passed in the blink of an eye in the outside world, while Yi Shiwen was constantly cultivating. Yi Shiwen had been constantly concentrating on his cultivation and hadn't stopped for even a moment. However, too many things had happened in the outside world. The demon race was still besieging the royal court. As the battle progressed, the demon race increasingly harassed the human territory of the ancient Barrens continent. Compared to other races, the human race was not all soldiers. Facing the demon race or the demon-worshipping religion's disciples, the mortals had no resistance at all and would be killed quickly. Moreover, these mortals were the foundation of the entire human race. Needless to say, the demon race grasped this point very accurately. They stabbed into the human race's Achilles heel in an instant. This also forced the human race to put more of their strength into eliminating the devil race in various places. The storm that Yi Shiwen had created 10 years ago had also been completely submerged in this tense situation. After Yi Shiwen had won the first place in one fell swoop, he didn't continue to become famous as many people had imagined. On the contrary, he lived a reclusive life. As for the others, they continued to grow during this period of time. Slowly, many people gradually forgot or temporarily forgot about Yi Shiwen's existence. And on this day, Yi Shiwen, who had been in the middle of the dragon veins, finally opened his eyes. In front of him, the Kunping egg in the center of the 9 dragon veins finally moved. Cracks appeared on the surface of the Kunping egg, and a childish cry resounded through the number 1 secret realm. Chapter 16:28. Crack! Crack! Kunping's egg cracked bit by bit, and then a bird pecked the eggshell bit by bit. It immediately revealed a cheerful smile when it saw Yi Shiwen. Although it was just a bird, Kunping's expression was quite human-like. In fact, excluding Kunping's size, its IQ was much higher than ordinary people. Yi Shiwen had been using dragon veins to help it hatch in the past 10 years. In addition to the great beast taming technique, Kunping treated Yi Shiwen like a child, making it dependent on Yi Shiwen. Kunping's aura continued to expand, and the surrounding laws condensed around its body. It was a transcendent realm powerhouse the moment it was born, radiating its aura. Although Kunping was a transcendent realm powerhouse at birth and showed extraordinary talent, Yi Shiwen was not too happy. 9 dragon veins, let alone 9. Even one was enough to create a heaven-end realm master. In the end, after Kunping swallowed all of them, it only reached transcendent realm. He really wanted to say that this guy was really a wastrel. But thinking about himself, he was not much better, so he could only forget about it. Compared to Kunping, who was a bottomless black hole, Yi Shiwen was not much better. Fortunately, after hatching, Kunping did not need to be fed like this. Otherwise, Yi Shiwen would go bankrupt first. After 10 years of incubation, Kunping finally hatched, but the 9 dragon veins were also completely absorbed by it. Yi Shiwen was only left with 8 dragon veins. But to some extent, Yi Shiwen was still very rich. In 10 years, he had completely stepped into the 6th level of Celestial Realm Peak. In fact, he had already stepped into the 6th level of Celestial Realm Peak a few years ago, but he did not choose to break through immediately. With his accumulation, stepping into the 7th level of Celestial Realm was more than enough. But his current combat power was already comparable to the 9th level of Celestial Realm. If he broke through normally, even if he stepped into the 7th level of Celestial Realm, it would only increase his current combat power a little, and it would not be comparable to the Heaven End Realm Master. The difference between the Heaven Realm and the Heaven Realm was like the difference between heaven and earth. Even if his battle prowess could completely defeat an ordinary 9th heaven of the Heaven Realm, it was still impossible for him to be a match for an expert of the Heaven Realm. With his current situation, if he wanted to go up against experts of the celestial realm in a short period of time, he would either have to do something when he stepped into the seventh heaven of the celestial realm, or he would have to rise all the way to the ninth heaven of the celestial realm before breaking through. However, from the looks of it, it would take a long time to reach the ninth sky of the celestial realm, not to mention stepping into the celestial realm. Even Yi Qiong and the others said that it would take a long time to reach the celestial realm. Therefore, Yi Shiwen decided to build a solid foundation first. When the time came, his combat strength would directly break into the celestial realm. For 10 whole years, he had been cultivating in the dragon veins. Moreover, he had been cultivating in 5 dragon veins. One could imagine how much he had accumulated. It was because of this accumulation that he had the ambition to break into the 7th level of the celestial realm in one go, bringing his combat power into the celestial realm in one go, turning all the foundation and accumulation into combat power. In these 10 years, although Yi Shiwen had not gone out, he was not completely ignorant of the outside world. During this period, Yi Qianqian had also come in for training for a long time, and came in a few times. The accumulation that Yi Shiwen needed to break through was too deep. Even many geniuses who wanted to reach the celestial realm might not need such a deep accumulation. In these few years, because of the invasion of the demon race, all the major forces began to speed up the pace of cultivating the younger generation. After all, in this chaotic world, if resources and whatnot could not be converted into combat power, then everything would be wasted. Some treasures that they were reluctant to use were used on these geniuses without hesitation at this time, to maximize the potential of this generation of young experts and increase their combat power. Originally, Yi Qiong said that with his situation at that time, it would be very good if he could reach the celestial realm within 50 years. In reality, he did not need that much time. A year ago, Yi Qiong had already reached the celestial realm and passed the celestial realm tribulation. In the Yi clan, the first to reach the celestial realm was no one else but Yi Shukong. As the bloodline of the Son of God, it could even be said that he was blessed by nature in cultivation. There were no obstacles to speak of. As long as he accumulated enough, he would naturally step into the next realm. This point was not so obvious before, but when he encountered the huge obstacle of the celestial realm, his advantage was completely displayed. Originally, among the Yi clan, he was the most promising person, even though Yi Shiwen had obtained helpers. This was because the older generation knew very well how difficult it was to break through the celestial realm, and the further one went, the harder it would be to break through. The advantage of the Son of God became more obvious the further one went, while the others gradually slowed down because of the increasingly powerful barrier. Only the Son of God could break through without any obstacles. Sure enough, this point was the best proof. The first to reach the celestial realm was Yi Shukong. In the second year of Yi Shiwen's closed-door training, with the countless resources of the Yi clan, he directly broke through the celestial realm. In an instant, his reputation rose, directly overshadowing Yi Shiwen, who had obtained the first place. Not to mention the Yi clan, even the 4 giants, Fa Wushuang, and the others could not progress as fast as him. It was not until the 3rd year after Yi Shukong entered the celestial realm that the 4 giants, Fa Wushuang, and the others successively entered the celestial realm. Although this progress could be said to be shocking, and some people had already regarded this generation as the golden generation, which was rare in the history of the human race, compared to Yi Shukong's speed, they were still inferior. This situation of geniuses erupting like a geyser also caused many people to feel uneasy, because history had proven that whenever there was a situation where geniuses erupted like a geyser, a golden era often meant that a great calamity was about to descend. Especially now that there was a pincer attack from both the inside and outside of the human race. This made this statement even more recognized. And then, the news that came from the other races cast a shadow over everyone's hearts. The other groups were also like the human race, geniuses erupting like a geyser. There were young geniuses that successively crossed the threshold of the celestial realm and became influential figures of the ancient barons. This made many people puzzled. What was going on in this world? In the past few decades, there might not be a single person who could enter the celestial realm. Once one was born, there would be a big celebration and announcement to the world. Now, there was a continuous flow of geniuses like cabbages on the roadside. And it was not only the younger generation, even many of the older generation had broken through their original realms. Many people were happy, but also worried. In a sense, this was not a good sign, especially when this affected all the major races of the ancient barons. It was even more obvious that the great calamity that was about to descend this time would be extraordinary. After Yi Shukong, Yi Qiong and Yi Kuang had also broken through in the past 2 years, almost stepping into the celestial realm one after another. Originally, Yi Kuang had been far ahead of Yi Qiong, but now Yi Qiong had caught up. Both of them became the Yi family after Yi Shukong, and 2 more young geniuses had stepped into the celestial realm. Apart from them, Yi Luan, Yi Xinghe, and the others were also just a step away from the celestial realm. However, Yi Xuan knew that the one who really stepped into the celestial realm after Yi Shukong was not the others but Yi Qianqian. In fact, 2 years after Yi Shukong stepped into the celestial realm, Yi Qianqian had already stepped into the celestial realm. After Yi Qianqian stepped into the celestial realm, she cultivated in Yi Xuan's dragon vein for a period of time. After consolidating her realm, she quietly left. Yi Xuan did not ask in detail, but he roughly knew something. It seemed that some of Yi Qianqian's memories were awakened, and in order to further her cultivation, he did not know which space she went to. This made Yi Xuan extremely shocked. Originally, he thought that the rumor that Yi Qianqian was the reincarnation of an ancient goddess was mostly nonsense. Previously, Yi Qianqian also said that she was not clear about it, but who knew that after breaking through to the celestial realm, she actually awakened a part of her memories. This matter was actually not groundless, but had indeed happened. However, other than Yi Qianqian, only Yi Xuan knew about this matter. Although there were many speculations outside, speculations were just speculations. In fact, there were many people who had such rumors, and many people had rumors of the reincarnation of a deity. There were all kinds of rumors, but rumors were just rumors, and no one had really verified them. However, Yi Qianqian was the only thing that Yi Xuan could be sure of. Although he did not know how she did it, there was no doubt that there must be a secret behind it. Yi Qianqian did not say it, and Yi Xuan did not ask too much. There was no need at all. Other than these few geniuses who had already stepped into the celestial realm, there were many other geniuses who had also sprung up in these few years. Although they could not compare to these experts who had already stepped into the celestial realm, they were much stronger than 10 years ago. It could be said that they had increased by several levels in an instant. In these 10 years, Yi Xuan had lived in seclusion, and gradually, he was forgotten by them. In these 10 years, there were too many people who had shaken the world, and he was no longer in the limelight. However, he did not care about this at all. He just advanced step by step according to his plan, and after 10 years of accumulation and preparation, he was finally going to try to break through to the 7th level of the celestial realm. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.